Happy Election Day, everyone! Oh my god, I cannot believe that we've made it. Today, I got to vote for myself for governor. I have to say, that was a pretty cool and very surreal experience. The last week particularly has been, well, a little bit stressful, and I was very stressed out yesterday. I'm feeling okay today. And what I thought we would do just to kind of relax is that I have got, in dedication to Phil, a Das Hydra, which is basically the best beer that has ever been created on the planet. And you're going to understand why when you see me pour it in the glass. And I thought we would just do a little bit of a chill stream today. I'm going to do some pontifications. I didn't stream yesterday because I was really stressed out yesterday. But today we're going to do some pontifications. Look at that beer. Look at that glorious, glorious smoothie variety of a beer. It's so good. Das Hydra is a sour ale with blackberry puree, raspberry puree, lemon puree, marshmallow, graham cracker, and granola. So, cheers, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this chill stream on Election Day. Now, just to let you guys know, so we're gonna be chill right now, but just to let you guys know, we are doing Nothing Remotely Controversial at 9:30 tonight, and we are doing a special Election Day special. So if you've never seen Nothing Remotely Controversial before, this is a show that I do with Joshua the Psychic. And he is a real psychic, and he's actually freakishly accurate in his predictions. And so we do these every single Tuesday at 9:30. And normally we talk about like general news and like whatever people super chat in. But today we're going to be doing election night special. You can already see that Fish Addict, thank you, Fish Addict, has already super chatted in a question. Are the problems with Arizona voting machines real technical problems or the result of shenanigans? We will say the result of shenanigans. You will be able to super chat in your questions. We're going to take a look at a number of different races tonight. I think it's going to be a fun time. And that's going to be at 9:30 tonight. Well, let's see. Oh, God. I just got a funny message. So I just thought I would pontificate a little bit. That's all I'm going to do today. And I'll take your questions in the chat. You can really ask me questions about anything, but today definitely did feel like a kind of coming full circle sort of day. I mean, it is actually kind of crazy, isn't it? You know, it was about 3 years ago at this time. A little more than 3 years ago. Probably like a little bit more than 3 years ago that I red pilled. And in that time, I went viral on the internet for being the Democrat that went to the Trump rally. I traveled around the country every week throughout the back half of 2020 to do rallies to try to get people to leave the Democratic Party. I was summarily ostracized and canceled in every possible way by conservatives for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. I ended up with the libertarians, which is why I was summarily canceled by the conservatives. By the way, just so people don't understand this, I went to the libertarians first, and then the conservatives figured it out like 3 months after that. And then they started canceling me, and then they were like, "You were never a conservative." I'm like, "No shit, that's why I went to the libertarians." And wait, what? Wait, what happened? Saw Sticks throw up full honesty. Glad mom and dad aren't fighting. I don't know what that means, Peter. I have no idea what that means. Give me more information. And so I ended up with the libertarians, and I joined the Libertarian Party in April of 2021. They had been talking to me a couple months before that, and that is absolutely the place that I'm happy I wound up at. And I joined because of the Mises Caucus Reno Reset takeover, because I didn't want the Libertarian Party to be woke. I knew the Libertarian Party couldn't be woke in order for it to actually be effective. And so I happened to come in about a year before the Mises Caucus took over the Libertarian Party, and I was very active, in that as much as I could be. I wasn't in a leadership position or anything, but just in terms of like trying to spread the word about what was going on and using my platform to support that. I was very, very willing to do that. I was an elected delegate at the convention. I was happy to be there. I was thrilled to be there, to be honest. Um, and 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 at some point along the way, I ended up accidentally becoming the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire endorsed candidate for governor. Now, for those who don't know, that was an accident. It was an a and listen, the polls are gonna close in New Hampshire for about 2 hours. I really don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag here at all. It was a complete and total accident that I became the nominee for governor. It was never meant to be like a serious thing. Um, I mean, I talked about issues and stuff that I care about, but not all memes play out how we thought they would. What does that mean, Justin? I don't know what that means. Um, so how that happened is so we had started talking about how we wanted to run Jeremy Kauffman for Senate because Jeremy is by far one of the strongest people that we have. I am actually like side note, I'm actually really thrilled that Jeremy Kauffman has run for Senate. I think that his ads are spectacular. If you have not seen Jeremy Kauffman's ads yet, you need to go and watch them. I really hope that Jeremy keeps making videos after all of this. I think that he will. Because I really think that Jeremy's is a voice that is much needed on the world stage. I think that he is a voice of reason. I think that he's a deeply principled person. And I really want to, I'm so glad that he was convinced to run for Senate because it wasn't something that he really wanted to do at first. And it took a lot of cajoling and a lot of talking to get Jeremy to commit to that. And, I'm really glad that he did. I am very, very happy that I'm very happy that, that he did and he was able to get that message out. Okay, so what Justin meant was running for lulz just to fill a spot to not leave it free for Sarwalk and ended up being the one in the race with the most leeway. I mean, yeah, it was ironic, wasn't it? Because like, so here's how I became nominated for governor. So we had talked about behind the scenes, like, do we as the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire run someone for governor? And we thought that Chris Sununu was going to run for Senate, which is why we ran Jeremy for Senate. In retrospect, it honestly probably, and Justin, maybe we should make a note of this, like in retrospect, it probably would have been a better idea to run Jeremy for governor. Probably. But we thought Chris Sununu was going to run for Senate at the time. Everyone thought Chris Sununu was going to run for Senate. Then he made the last minute decision to not run for Senate and to rerun for governor. And so, you know, so we had talked behind the scenes about like, do we put someone in that governor role? And I had said that I would do it if I didn't have to do anything. God, how fucking naive was I? Honestly. But that was my condition. I said, "If I don't have to do anything and I'm just a name on a ballot, then I will do it." And then we talked about it, and ultimately, and this is the really ironic part, we decided not to go through with it. So before the convention, the state convention in January, we had actually like had conversations internally and decided that we weren't going to put anyone up for governor. And the reason for that was we wanted to put all resources into Jeremy to be able to give him like the most money and the most people and all that stuff. Because listen, we like it's a small party. We have like limited resources and we have to be thoughtful about how we use those resources. Um, and then we get to the state convention in January of 2022, this year, which seems like a million years ago now. And Jeremy got nominated for Senate. Hooray. We knew that was going to be we knew that was going to happen. And then Ian Freeman, who I had never even met before, but we had talked, we had like, tweeted back and forth with each other. I knew who he was. Ian Freeman, who is like one of the libertarians in the state of New Hampshire, got up and without talking to me about it beforehand, nominated me for governor. And when it happened, I literally shouted, "Oh shit," because I was not expecting to be nominated for governor at all. Was not expecting it. And because we had already decided that I wasn't going to do it. And then I kinda, like, so he nominated me for governor, didn't tell me he was gonna do it, and I kinda sat there for a second, I put my head in my hands, and I started thinking about I was like, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And I really didn't know, like, my head was racing, and so here was my thought process. Number 1, I was like, "It would be really ungracious to say no." That was honestly my first thought. I was like, "If someone nominates you, like, that's really nice, and that's, like, an honor, and, like, it would be really ungracious to say no." And I also liked the idea of having a choice on the ballot. I wanted there to be a libertarian on the ballot for governor. I thought that that was an important thing. And then as I'm kind of thinking this through in my head, and you guys got to understand, this is going by like in a flash, right? We're talking about a couple of seconds of consideration here. My friend Ashley yells, "Do it!" And I was like, "Ah, fine, yes, I accept the nomination." And then Justin, who is his Justin O'Donnell, like, I need to say this. Justin O'Donnell is I cannot even tell you how valuable of an asset we have in Justin O'Donnell. Justin O'Donnell, what is Jeremy's campaign manager. He has also very graciously been helping me. Um, he is the person that we go to whenever we have a question for anything. He is the first advocate that's there for like anything that needs to happen. He is the reason that we are on the ballot. Justin organized the petitioning to get everyone on the ballot. He was out there all the time collecting petitions. I cannot say enough about, listen, Justin is an asshole on Twitter. If you follow Justin on Twitter, you will know what I'm talking about. He's an asshole on Twitter, and he doesn't give a fuck. And that's one of the things I love about Justin. But he is one of those people that can get away with being an asshole because he is so valuable. We would not have been on the ballot today if it wasn't for Justin O'Donnell. And yes, other people helped too. I don't want to say like Masha and Zephin were also integral in petitioning. There were so many people who worked to petition. But anyway, so at the convention, like, one of my things was, like, I didn't wanna run for governor if it was gonna require extra work because, like I said, I don't really have time to do this stuff, and it was like, if it was gonna require extra work, then I wasn't going to do it, and I didn't wanna put that on the party either because we had already talked and decided that, like, we were gonna put all the resources in Jeremy, which of course was fine. But Justin at convention basically told us that both Jeremy and I could petition to get on the ballot at the same time on the same form. And so it would literally be zero extra work to put me on the ballot. So why the F not? And the other thing, too, was there was a guy in New Hampshire that we were kind of worried about trying to sneak onto the ballot that we wanted to try to block him. Now, ironically, Nick Sarwalk pulled fuckery and got another libertarian on the ballot, even though she's a total fucking Democrat. And so, like, we kinda got sabotaged in that sense. I'm probably not gonna get as many votes as I could have because, unfortunately, she's listed above me on the ballot, and so that's just kind of the way it goes. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I wasn't expecting to do this, and I'm really grateful for all the help that Justin has given us, and it has been an experience to be kind of on the back end of just seeing this stuff unfold, and like the amount of hoops that the Libertarian Party has to jump through just to get people on the ballot is extraordinary. It really is. And and it's been and even like I haven't been running like a real campaign. I talk about issues. I talk about things that I believe in. I am deadly serious about my platform, which is all around education. I would absolutely do everything in my platform, which includes putting cameras in every public school classroom on day one. I would do that via executive order. I would immediately defund every program with equity in the title. I would sign the parental rights and education bill that Chris Sununu refuses to. I would make the anti-CRT bill better. I would make New Hampshire the homeschool capital of the world. I would absolutely do all those things. That was a very serious platform that I put forward. But I certainly have not run a traditional campaign because I'm not in a position to be able to do that. And you know, just seeing like God, I've thought a lot about, do I regret putting myself in this position? Because unfortunately, one of the things that I did not expect was that, listen, I'm a libertarian candidate for governor in a state where the Republican governor is going to win in a landslide. He is. Chris Sununu is going to win the governor of New Hampshire. He is. 100%. Like, there is no doubt about it. I hate to break the news to anyone. I will not be the next governor of New Hampshire. Chris Sununu will be. So I say that because I really didn't expect that I was going to have people coming after my personal life and my friends in the course of this campaign. And if there's one regret that I have, it's that my friend was hurt because someone wanted to run a smear campaign on me. My friend, who has already suffered enough after he pled guilty to a crime he didn't commit because he was afraid of going to jail for the rest of his life if he didn't. My friend was hurt. And it's all because of this. And he was hurt way worse than I was. And if there's one thing that I regret about this whole thing, it's that. Because I really didn't expect it. I didn't even think about it. And I wish I had done that better. And I wish that Walk Away hadn't been so vindictive. Because this all came from the Walk Away campaign, by the way. This all came from the Walk Away campaign. They were the ones that ran the smear campaign on me. Of all people. So anyone who ever believes that for anyone who followed the Walk Away campaign and believed Brandon Straka when he said walk away is a journey, not a destination, that was all a lie. Because I became a libertarian and I was out. And then Mike Carlo ran a smear campaign on me and defamed me and my friend all over the internet. And that's the thing I regret most. And the reason he could get away with it is because I ran for governor. That's what I regret most. Well, I suppose I regret supporting Walkway in the first place, in retrospect. But it is retrospect, isn't it? So I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect to get my personal life attacked. I didn't expect my friends to get attacked. And for that reason, I will probably never do something like this again. I would never put myself in a position to do something like this again. I will not throw my friend under the bus. I stuck by my friend through 8.5 years in prison. I'm not going to throw him under the bus for anything. But I think it showed me how really dirty this entire game is. And it showed me a side of people that has quite frankly made me run out of fucks to give. I didn't expect to talk about that. That just kind of came out. Let me take a drink. Mount that like button, guys. So you do start to see how vicious people are. Even for candidates that have no chance of winning. The other thing I think is kind of funny is that is how many Republicans have come up to me and basically spit in my face and have said, "You're never gonna win." I'm like, "No shit, Sherlock." And that's been very surprising to me that like Republicans have that much hate. I had no idea that Republicans who claim to have libertarian values hate libertarians so much. They hate libertarians. Now don't get it twisted. Democrats hate libertarians too. Everyone fucking hates libertarians. But that's been surprising to me to see just the absolute vitriol that Republicans have. Now, to be fair, I have for the last week, well, longer than that, been running around basically saying we're gonna cost, yeah, Justin's making a point. Libertarians do hate libertarians, Justin. That's very true. Now, I have for the last week been running around saying that we're gonna cost the Republican Senate candidate that campaign seat, and I do think we will. So here is how I think it's gonna go tonight in New Hampshire so far as, federal elections go. Like I said, Chris Sununu is going to win the governor of New Hampshire again. He 100% will win. There is no contest about it. Tom Sherman is probably gonna lose by at least 15 points, if not more. Okay, fine. Um, I think that, Annie Kuster will be going back to Congress. I don't think that Bob Burns is gonna beat her. I didn't even know who was running in CD2 until, 2 days ago. Basically, I don't live in CD2, so, I would have a reason not to know, but I do think that Annie Kuster is going to go back to Congress. In CD1, there's Chris Pappas versus Caroline Leavitt. Now, Caroline Leavitt is a 24-year-old blonde girl that got nominated by the Republicans basically because she worked for Trump for a couple of months. That being said, Republicans do like their 24-year-old blondes. God, to pretend, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. To pretend that a 24-year-old blonde girl is the best candidate to run for Congress. Republicans, you've got to do better, man. You really do. Republicans could have nominated Tim Baxter, who I think has significantly more practical life experience along with a legislative record. And but they didn't. They nominated the 24-year-old blonde girl because of course they did. That said, Chris Pappas is like really not that exciting of a candidate. So in CD1 between Caroline Leavitt and Chris Pappas, it might actually go to Caroline Leavitt. It might. It might. I'm not 100% on that. I think very easily it could go back to Chris Pappas, but it might go to Caroline Leavitt. Which brings us to the all-consuming Senate race between Maggie Hassan and Don Bolduc. I think Maggie Hassan's going to win. I do. We'll ask Joshua tonight. We'll see what's up. Maybe we'll even get a call before that. But I think that Maggie Hassan is going to go back to the Senate. But I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be closer than people expected it to be. I think that, to be frank, like Don Bolduc is not exactly loved by the Republican establishment. He very narrowly won the primary. He was not the establishment-backed candidate. Don Bolduc has basically been campaigning by himself for Senate for 4 years because he for 4 years or 2 years, 2 years. Justin, has it been 4 years or 2 years since the last time Don Bolduc ran? Anyway, Don Bolduc has been like campaigning for Senate for at least 2 years because he ran last time. No, it was 2 years. It must have been 2 years because Trump endorsed Corky Mesner. That's right. Don Bolduc ran for Senate a couple years ago. Trump ended up endorsing a guy named Corky Mesner against him, and so Don Bolduc lost the primary a couple years ago, and then he's been campaigning ever since. So he narrowly beat out the establishment. The establishment candidate here, who was Chuck Morse, who's the president of the Senate. That was who Chris Sununu backed, all that stuff. The reason that I don't think Don Bolduc is going to pull it off is number one, the aggregate polling, and I spent a lot of time looking at polls last night, does not reflect that Don Bolduc is going to pull it off. The only polls that have Don Bolduc up are Trafalgar, which is closely associated with the Daily Wire. And I know Trump likes Trafalgar, but it's a conservative polling apparatus. So I don't trust their numbers. I'm sorry. And then St. Anselm's the other day had Don Bolduc up by like 1 point. But the rest of the polls all have Maggie Hassan up. And I looked at the demographics in those polls, and they were not skewing Democrat. They were not skewing Democrat in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they probably undersampled Democrats, some of them. So the polling does not indicate to me that Don Bolduc is going to win. Additionally, there have been a lot of issues in terms of Don Bolduc flip-flopping on the voter stuff and the election integrity stuff, because literally up until the primary, Don Bolduc said that the election essentially, and this is like his political position. I'm not saying, of course, we all know that the election was perfect, but Don Bolduc was not saying the election was perfect up until the primary. And then the day after the primary, the literal day after the primary, Don Bolduc said the election was perfect and Joe Biden is the rightful president of the United States, which of course YouTube we know is the truth. And I know that that pissed off. I've heard from many Republicans that that really pissed off, because Don Bolduc essentially tells you what you want to hear until it's no longer politically convenient. And then he completely flip flops on the issue. And this is an issue that people care about. Now, Justin, I know, would argue that that's not the most important issue to New Hampshire voters, and it might not be, but I do know that that's something that really sticks in the craw of Republicans. So are Republicans going to turn out to vote for Don Bolduc? Maybe. Maybe not, though. Don Bolduc is also not good on war. He's not good on that. And we had this incident in the last week that has really pissed off a lot of libertarians, where, as you guys know, even though Tim fucking Pool refused to cover it. And by the way, can I just say, Tim Pool is fucking dead to me. I really mean that. I don't ever want to hear Tim Pool's name again. Tim Pool he's not a fucking journalist, probably never was. And so far as I'm concerned, he can suck a dick. He had the opportunity to do the right thing and he didn't. And a lot of people did, even Styx Hexenhammer. Even Styx Hexenhammer did. And he didn't do the right thing. So Don Bolduc essentially framed a libertarian for assaulting him and then got him wrongly arrested and then went on a conservative media blitz lying about him. And that pissed off a lot of libertarians. That pissed off a lot of people. And in a state where we have, a small percentage of the population, but more significant than most, that could be enough on its own to swing the election on its own. So I think Don Bolduc is going to lose. I think he's going to lose narrowly. And I think when he loses, it will be because of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong about this. The other reason is that I've been paying really close attention to just some of the posts that have come out today. And I'll tell you what, the lines for same-day voter registration on the college campuses in UNH specifically, they are a mile and a half fucking long. They're really long, and they're filled with young college students. Those college students are not voting for Don Bolduc. I'm sorry. Those college students are voting for Maggie Hassan. I have seen lines and lines and lines and lines of young voters. That's what I've seen pictures of. Those are not Don Bolduc votes. Those are Maggie Hassan votes. It doesn't matter if they don't live here. They're still voting here. It doesn't matter. They're all in line right now registering to vote at UNH. It really doesn't matter. And so I think that Hassan's going to take it, and I think she's going to take it by maybe 1 or 2 points. And I really want Jeremy to get over 4%. I think that if Nick Sarwark hadn't sabotaged my race by putting an interloper into it, I would have gotten over 4%. Absolutely, 100%, without even trying, really. Sadly, Nick Sarwark decided to sabotage our ballot access. And Kelly Helderson, by the way, there was an article that came out in The Nation today where they were lambasting me for being pro-choice because I wasn't pro-choice enough, which I found pretty insane in and of itself. But it was basically because Nick Sarwark got the article planted to promote his candidate, Kelly, who is basically Kelly. This is the other libertarian on the ballot in New Hampshire. Her name is Kelly Helderson. And today in The Nation, she told her story about why she had an abortion and why she wants abortion to be on demand up until birth, and how the Libertarian Party was wrong to remove the abortion plank from the platform. For those who don't know, the Libertarian Party nationally removed the plank from the platform that spoke to abortion, and now it just doesn't say anything about abortion. And the reason that is because there are good people on both sides of the issue. It is an irreconcilable issue, and it is up to a matter of personal choice. And so the Libertarian Party makes no comment either way. They are not pro-choice. They are not pro-life. They do not make a comment either way. Kelly Halderson is pissed off about that and had a whole article written about her in The Nation where she told her harrowing story of having an abortion and wants all women to have abortions for as long as they want to have abortions. My position is, and I am actually, here is the ironic part of this. Believe it or not, I am the most pro-life candidate running for governor in New Hampshire. Words I never thought I would say. That's the truth, though. Every single candidate on the ballot for governor of New Hampshire is pro-choice. I am the most restrictive pro-choice candidate of everyone running. Kelly Halderson is abortion until birth. Tom Sherman is abortion until birth. Chris Sununu is abortion until birth. Chris Sununu signed the current bill in New Hampshire, which I believe is like 26 weeks or something like that. But like there are organizations in New Hampshire that have explained to me that Chris Sununu is abortion until birth. So I'm going to believe that. My position is 15 weeks with exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I think that's a reasonable compromise. I am not going to apologize for that, pro-lifers. I'm a woman that was raped. I know damn sure that I want that choice. I wanted that choice then, and I want women who go through that to have that choice now. I think they deserve it. I think 15 weeks is more than enough time to discover that you're pregnant and to make a decision. And if there's medical necessity after that, that's why there are exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I think that's more than enough. And that's my position. And I think it is a reasonable compromise that allows access to something that some people legitimately do need, that also allows us to keep our humanity. Because I find the Democrat position on abortion to be personally sickening. I think abortion is a sad thing. I don't think it's something to celebrate. I don't think it's something to wear on a t-shirt. I don't think it's something to wear babies on your earrings and brag how many abortions you've had. I think all that is gross. And you won't compromise either, Shayna. You won't compromise either. Both sides on this issue are ridiculous, by the way. The pro-life people are fucking insane. I'm sorry. Every time I propose a reasonable compromise on this issue, I'm called a baby killer up and down the internet. The pro-choice people are also fucking insane because they don't want to acknowledge that abortion until birth is too fucking far. And neither side will listen to the other, and neither side will compromise with each other. So my position on abortion, as the most pro-life candidate running for governor of New Hampshire, is that I think that 15 weeks, with exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, is more than enough, and it is a reasonable compromise, and it allows us to keep our humanity. And I think neither side is willing to compromise on this issue, and it is what it is. So I think that that is just funny and ironic that I happen to be the most pro-life person running for governor of New Hampshire, because I'm sure that would really surprise people like Allie Beth Stuckey, who attacked me on Twitter for saying that pro-life people are unreasonable. Anyway, so I really do want Dawn Bulldog to lose tonight. I'm going to have an extreme emotion about the outcome of that Senate race either way. I really want Don Bolduc to lose. Just to warn everyone, I will be absolutely insufferable for the rest of the week if Don Bolduc loses. Insufferable. Because he deserves to fucking lose. He staged a hoax attack the week before the election, lied about an innocent person on social media, and has generally been a massive flip-flopper this entire time. He deserves to lose. If Don Bolduc wins, I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to be upset. Now, I'll survive. We'll all survive. We'll all move on with life. But it really will rub me the wrong way if Don Bolduc wins. Because it means that Republicans have absolutely no principles. It will mean that a lot of people voted for him that have absolutely no principles at all. It will solidify for me that Republicans are no better than Democrats. But I think he's going to lose. I don't think he has the numbers. I think it's going to be, and I think that fucking with the libertarians the week before the election was a really bad idea. Because that in and of itself is going to cost him votes. So we'll see. I could be wrong on this. My read could be wrong. There are certainly people who disagree with me. But I don't think he's going to win. And, we'll all find out in a couple of hours, hopefully. And if not, we'll find out tomorrow sometime. But I think we're going to find out tonight. You know, I can't remember when New Hampshire, even with the Kelly Ayotte race in 2016, I think we still found out that night. I think it was just really late. And that race was really close. That race was down to 1,000 votes or something. So we'll see. But I will be insufferable if he loses. Just to warn everyone. I'm going to get myself massively canceled by conservatives if he loses, by the way. Wait until you guys see what I have planned if Don Bolduc loses. Oh. Oh, that's right. You're right, Justin. Ayotte went to a recount. It will be glorious. The cancellation that I will undergo by conservatives will be glorious. Oh, really, Mercy? Well, conservatives have canceled me at least 6 times in the past year. So they do care about me. They're whining all up and down my feed today. Whining and complaining, blaming me for all their problems. If you really want to have some fun, contact the We the People coalition in New Hampshire and you ask them what they think about me. They absolutely care about me. They've been complaining about me for days. Well, it's a good thing, honey, that you can just go on the internet and look. See, this is what conservatives do. Conservatives whine and they lie and they make things up. Oh, Sandra, did you have fun with We the People? Are they talking about me? Yeah, she's definitely new. Hey, Dennis. Dennis says, why do you think no one is talking about the 20 plus years of war, about the possibility of World War III and nuclear war? Do they not believe, not care? I don't think, Dennis, I don't think that they believe that nuclear war is possible. I really don't think they believe it's possible. And they're wrong. I think that's why they're not talking about it, though. Catalyst says, I hope that Carrie chick isn't still going after you. Oh, God, Carrie is still obsessed with me. That whole little crew, Carrie Smith, Mike Harlow, Deb Philman, they're all obsessed with me. Still, to this day. Sandra, I feel like I may have seen you post. I think you might have did you tag me on Facebook? I think someone did. Anyway, so guys, I'm feeling good. I'm really glad that this election is over, and even with the very little that I did, like, it was still exhausting. Yes, I thought you did. Thank you for that. It was still pretty exhausting. And I'm really ready to kind of refocus on some things. I had to kind of like focus on some other stuff for like a couple. Like I'd focus basically on this and like a couple other things for a couple weeks. But I'm really glad to be able to refocus. Oh, Naruto, your super chat did pop up. Hang on. About to go vote and then turn on Blaze TV coverage. My choices for governor are Blood and Pillin. Why would you? Why would they nominate someone named Blood? That is a horrible. That is a horrible name to run for governor. Well, I hope you vote for the Republican. Oh, check this out. This is how petty fucking conservatives are. The We the People Resolve people unendorse someone for sheriff because he refused to support Don Boldock. Man. Didn't you once rag on libertarians in 2020 saying it was essentially a vote for Biden? Well, that was a that was a different time, Mercy. You are obviously new here. I love it when conservatives are like, you said this in 2020. And I'm like, then you canceled me 19 Ways from Sunday and I don't give a fuck about supporting you anymore. But no, here's what happened. Libertarians nominated a bad presidential candidate in 2020 named Jo Jorgensen. She's actually like not the worst person in the world, but she said she aligned herself with Black Lives Matter and all sorts of woke bullshit. The Libertarian Party leadership has completely turned over since then. Jo Jorgensen is no longer in the fucking picture. And so it is a completely different reality. And they are significantly better than conservatives on almost every possible issue. And you are obviously a conservative. You are obviously a conservative. Do you guys understand that I can sense now like that? Who's a Democrat? Who's a conservative? Who is a conservative pretending to be a libertarian, even though they're really a conservative? Who is an actual libertarian? It is so easy to tell you guys apart. Conservatives like to lie like this. Oh, you think I'm a conservative? And then I go to your Twitter feed and it's like all Trump shit. And they're like, I'm not a real conservative. I am MAGA. I'm like, you're a fucking conservative, dude. You're a fucking conservative. Don't bullshit a bullshitter. I've got all your guys' number. Yes, this is correct. If we go from Democrat to Republican to independent to libertarian, we are wishy-washy and therefore not authentic. So right now, oh, yo, Sandra, you and I need to go out for a cup of coffee or something, or possibly something stronger. Right now, I shit you not. I shit you not. The conservatives are trying to convince the libertarians that I am a Democrat plant. And do you know what their evidence is? Their evidence is photos from me when I was like with Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren from while I was still a Democrat in 2020, not even 2020, 2019. The evidence that right now Therese is giving to the libertarian Therese Grenell is going on this whole fucking campaign against me because she's pissed at me. And she's basically telling people that because there's photos of me with Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren from 2019, then that is proof that I'm a Democrat plant today. Man. But it has actually, to be serious for a second, the Don Boldock incident has been incredibly revealing. For those who don't know, this is a quick synopsis, and you can go back and watch any of the previous streams over the last several days on my channel to find out more information. I'm not going to rehash everything. But Don Boldock, who is the Republican running for Senate in New Hampshire, last week hoaxed an assault. He staged a hoax assault to be able to go on the campaign stage or on the debate stage in New Hampshire and say that he was assaulted by a crazy libertarian, and don't we need to stop all this political violence? And then Don Boldock went on a conservative media tour saying again that he had been assaulted by a libertarian in the parking lot. He had dodged a punch from a libertarian. Now, Don Boldock's problem is that we have video footage of everything from multiple angles, and nothing happened like that. Don Boldock flat lied. He lied. He got an innocent man arrested, and then he smeared that person all over national conservative media. And we have video that proves all of this. And I pretty much feel like we've made our case at this point. I feel like it's pretty clear that Don Boldock is a liar and should not be trusted. But the interesting thing about all of this whole thing is it has been incredibly revealing about where people's allegiances are. Incredibly revealing. In that Don Boldock clearly and unequivocally lied in a really, really egregious way. And there is a line of conservatives in New Hampshire and elsewhere too, who are completely denying that he did anything wrong. Just will not look at it, cannot process this information. We have clear video of everything. And they will not acknowledge that he did anything wrong. And they keep trying to blame the person that he got wrongly arrested, who himself did nothing wrong, for the entire thing. They're basically going, how dare he go up to him with a camera? Oh, yeah, I heard about this video. This is because for this Turtle Boy asshole, who, by the way, used to love me when he thought I was a conservative. This Turtle Boy asshole was so pissed that he is a great example of this. Because do you know when that video came out? When I exposed, and I was this wasn't solely me, but I was one of several people who were exposing this. When I was pushing hard to make sure everyone knew that Don Boldock hoaxed his own attack, that's when Turtle Boy concocted this smear piece. And this is the mentality of conservatives. And if you're a conservative watching right now and you don't do this, I'm not talking about you, but this has happened to me dozens of times from conservatives. No, Sandra, he did not put out a good video of it. He put out a smear piece on me because I told the truth. So when conservatives don't like what you have to say, what they do is they insult you, they lie about you, and they smear you to try to discredit what you're saying. And that's what Turtle Boy has done. That's what he's done. And he was always a grifter. He was always an asshole. He is one of the lowest form of human being. Well, Sandra, I wouldn't trust him because he did an entire smear piece on me because I pushed the Bulldog stuff. And if you need help exposing that sort of thing, I am more than happy to help you. And I'll be ethically honest about it. So there are like a lot of conservatives and quite frankly, a lot of people who we thought we could trust within the libertarian movement have really shown their true colors in relation to this Bulldog thing. Because if you're taking Don Boldock's side in any way, shape, or form, that simply means you can't be trusted at all. And if you're not standing up and doing the right thing, that means you can't be trusted at all. If you're unwilling to do the right thing when it matters, if you're unwilling to do the right thing when there is mountains of evidence about what actually happened, then in my opinion, you're just no better than the Democrats. You're no different than the Democrats. I didn't leave the left to shill for the right. And the most disappointing one for me right now is Tim Pool. I really thought, well, I'm of two minds about this. I guess there was part of me that hoped that Tim Pool would do the right thing. There really I really thought I was like, there is overwhelming evidence, overwhelming evidence that Don Boldock lied. And I wasn't even involved in any of this other than I was there and I was one of the people that was really pushing to get this evidence out as far as it can go. I did several streams on this. I was streaming about it at 2 a.m. the night that it happened and it started to blow up on conservative media. I have a very vested interest in this because I want Don Boldock to lose and I want him to be exposed for the liar that he is. And I really hoped that Tim Pool would be able to look at the evidence, put whatever feelings he has about me aside, and look at the evidence and tell the story that needed to be told that he is one of the very few people that's in a position to tell. If you believe that Tim Pool is a real journalist, this whole thing should completely dispel that myth. He is not a real journalist. He is not someone that's going to stand up for the little guy when it matters. Tim Pool is absolutely not someone who's going to stand up for libertarians. So for all the libertarians that are watching Tim Pool because he sometimes has on libertarian guests, just really know who you're dealing with. Tim Pool could have acted with integrity in this, and he could have put his stake in the ground, and he could have stood up for a community when they needed it. To say, and not even to shill for a side, but to just tell the truth. A lot of people told the truth. Styx Hexenhammer told the truth. There have been several people on YouTube that have covered this that told the truth. WMUR even had their arm twisted behind their back, so they had to tell the truth. Tim Pool had all of the video evidence. He had it immediately because we made sure it got sent to him. He then went on his show on Friday and lied about not having it. Phil and I spent all of Friday afternoon trying to get him this footage in every possible way we could. Other people were too. Tim Pool had it on Friday. Then he went on his live show, lied about not having it, because what Tim Pool did was, it is an easy excuse to say, I can't. He kept getting asked about this issue. He kept getting asked to comment on the Bulldog thing, and he didn't want to comment on it. He obviously didn't want to comment on it because he didn't want to throw the Republican under the bus because he knew there would be consequences for that. So instead of commenting on it and putting on his big boy pants and acting like a man, Tim Pool lied and said he didn't have the full footage when he had been sent the full footage across 19 different platforms all effing afternoon. And there was a part of me that, like, I wanted to, like, leave that space for him to be telling the truth because legitimately Tim Pool is a very busy person. He just may not have seen it yet. I can accept that. What I cannot accept is him having the footage and not saying anything yesterday. And instead sucking Elon Musk's dick in all of his videos yesterday. He had a chance to do the right thing. There are any different number of angles that Tim Pool could have taken on this, where he could have told this story. And he never had to mention me. In fact, I said I didn't want to be mentioned because it wasn't my story. And I'm really glad that there are a lot of people who were invested in this story being told that now see exactly and precisely who Tim Pool is. Because I saw this 2 years ago. I saw this 2 years ago when Tim Pool tweeted that I was an SJW. Because one of his friends told him things he didn't like about me that were not true. I saw this side of him then. And now a lot more people are seeing this side of him. So I was not surprised when he chose not to cover it yesterday. I wasn't surprised. But I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed that Tim Pool has gone through absolutely zero personal growth in the last 2 years. I was deeply disappointed that he spent half of his show last night talking about principles and integrity when he has no principles and integrity, when he is unwilling to do the difficult thing when it matters. I had really hoped that he had manned up. I really had. And I think that's one of the most disappointing things to me about this entire thing. He had the opportunity to really do the right thing, to do the courageous thing, to tell the story that needed to be told, and he just couldn't do it. Or he could have done it. He wouldn't do it because he's a stubborn asshole that can't see past personality. I also, by the way, think Tim Pool is very intimidated by me. I think it would have been much more likely that he would have told this story if I hadn't been involved in it at all. But I'm sorry, Tim, I was. I would have oh god, I really wish I really, 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 really wanted to be wrong about who Tim Pool was. But I was proven right. Anyway, let me take some super chats, guys. You guys have been nice enough to send in some super chats, and you're welcome to send in super chats with if you have any questions you would like me to answer, any topics you would like me to speak to. If you ask me a really interesting topic and you don't do it in a super chat, but I just happen to see it in the chat, I might take that too. I can't make any promises. A Wright wants to know thoughts on Trump in 2024. Happy election day. Happy election day to you, A Wright. Hang on. Um, I suspect that Joshua and I are actually going to talk about this tonight at 9:30. If you guys don't know, we are Fox News apparently is saying New Hampshire is going Republican. I don't think that's true, but well, I think it might be true for Caroline Leavitt. I don't think that's true for the other races. We are going to be talking about this tonight at 9:30 on Nothing Remotely Controversial, but I will answer the question now anyway. Do I want Trump to run in 2024? Yes. Because I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be comedy. I think it would be amazing. I think it would be hilarious. Do I think it's a good idea that Trump run in 2024? No. I think it is an awful idea. I think that Republicans should pave the way for Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis should be the anointed candidate. I think that a lot of people would get behind Ron DeSantis. I even think probably a lot of libertarians would get behind Ron DeSantis if I'm honest about it. I think that Ron DeSantis is the optimal candidate for 2024. But Trump is not going to allow that to happen. Trump's ego is way too big. He can't help himself. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for the rematch. I want to see Trump do it. Trump has been looking spry. He's going to come back with a new gritty disgruntledness. I think it's going to be fucking hilarious. And so for that reason, I would want Trump to run. I just don't think it's the best idea. And I'm not going to vote Republican either way. I am sorry to disappoint, but like my days of voting Republican are over. Unless Republicans give me a damn good reason to. And I don't see that happening anytime soon because I think Republicans need to lose and they need to learn and they need to get better. And I don't think they deserve my vote. But just from an entertainment value perspective, I'd fucking love to see Trump run again in 2024. Love it. Let's see. Phil says, Yeah, Ian, Bill, and myself and countless others did everything to set the record straight about Bulldog, and conservative media ignored it, and liberal media was careless. Yeah, or could care less. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right, Phil. Sandra, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And Phil says, fuck Tim Pool. We gave him everything and he did nothing. Well, isn't that enlightening, though, about how all of this influencer bullshit works? I mean, to be quite honest, Phil, and I say this for anyone, and I know there were a significant number of people in my community that were following the Bulldog story that were really deeply disappointed that Tim Pool didn't step up and put on his big boy pants and do the right thing. I know you guys were disappointed, but let that be a lesson about how this influencer space works. The vast majority of people on YouTube, the vast majority of people doing this, are nothing more than shills for a tribe, and they're not going to piss off their audience because their audience is their money. I've never had a problem pissing off my audience because this is not the only way I make money. And I've always said my highest priority is authenticity and expression. And that's higher than building a mass audience any day of the week. Tim Pool's highest priority is building a mass audience and making a metric ton of money. And there's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But his approach is always going to be to honor the priorities of building a mass audience and making money. It's not going to be to telling the truth. And Tim Pool knew that telling that truth to his audience, that probably wouldn't have been pretty for him if he's honest about it. Because Tim Pool's audience is filled with people just like Sticks, Hex, and Hammer's audience who believe they're libertarians but are actually conservative. Shanna says, yep, Carlin, Republican activists who are evangelicals are the worst in smearing, especially at Christians who disagree with how they view politics. Yes. I absolutely agree with that statement. Republicans are so much worse at smearing than Democrats. So much worse. Beyond. Oh, you guys are timing out people in the chat. Oh, you're timing out people for whining. Okay, guys. Maybe it's a good time. I probably should have done this at the beginning. But maybe it's a good time to go through my chat rules. If you're new here, I have 2 rules in the chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. If you insult me, you're going to get blocked real quick. If you insult anyone else in the chat, you're going to get blocked really quick. Number 2, no fucking whining in my chat. This is chill stream right now. I'm having a drink. We're just talking. This is for a de-stressful night. We might even watch MSNBC in a minute. Let me know. Let me actually put a poll in the chat. Oh shit, I think I forgot to start the live stream on Rockfin. Holy shit. Sorry, Rockfin, I forgot to start the live stream. Sorry about that, Rockfin. Okay, let me put a poll in the chat. And this is only on YouTube, sorry. Should we do MSNBC live stream? Yes, no. And we don't have to do MSNBC live stream. I just thought it might be kind of funny just to see what MSNBC is saying. Because listen, man, for as much as I want Republicans to lose, let's be honest, there are going to be some big Republican wins tonight. And the Republicans, I think, generally speaking, are going to take back the House. I think they might even take back the Senate. I think they've got a really good shot at it. I don't think they're going to win in New Hampshire, but I think they've got a really good shot at it. So there's going to be so much fucking tonight on MSNBC, and it's going to be glorious. And can we all just acknowledge that? So for anyone who thinks that like I just shit on Republicans all the time, no. I shit on both sides equally. So these are the rules of the chat. Don't be a dick. No whining. That's it. That's it. I expect everyone to abide by these rules. I'm not like Tim Pool's chat or Nick Ricada's chat where you can just say whatever you want willy-nilly. I don't like that shit. So, those are the rules. Let me see. I'm not sure I have any more super chats right now. Just scrolling through. Oh, incognito. I only donate to you and Razorfist now. No more Tim Pool. Well, listen, and I want to say this very, very clearly. I will never tell you who to watch. I will never tell you who to support. I will never say that you should not support people. I will never ever do that. If you watch Tim Pool and you like Tim Pool and you support Tim Pool, then you should do that because it's your choice, it's your time and it's your money and it's really none of my business. So I will never be someone to say don't, don't do this. Just for me, after having this final confirmation that Tim Pool is the shill that I always thought he was, he's fucking dead to me and he can suck a dick. But you guys can do whatever you want. I don't really care. I just don't want to hear his name and I don't want to hear anything more about him because he has proven himself to be, well, not reliable and not a real journalist and just out to make money off of his conservative audience who thinks they're libertarians but are really not. Let's see. Oh, I have no idea what my polling numbers are. The numbers have been all over the place. Justin thinks that I'm going to end up like maybe like he thinks like maybe 2 to 3%, I think. So we'll see. We will see. Okay guys, do you have any questions that you want? Yes, we need to de-stress. We've been working very hard, Dennis. We have been working overtime. I do piss everyone off. I don't even have to try and I piss people off. Oh my god. Mike. It's just too bad. Really disappointing. I do genuinely think he's smart, but anyway, guys, if you're looking for midterm coverage, we're going to do that in a little bit on Nothing Remotely Controversial. We're just talking right now. We're chilling. I'm pontificating. We might watch MSNBC. But this has been a really crazy ride. Is there anyone? How come I didn't rent a ballroom and some fans? I don't have a campaign budget. What are you talking about? I got a show I got to do tonight, man. I'm just curious, is there anyone who has been watching me since the Trump rally article? Is there anyone that's been watching for like, 2 years, whatever? Almost 3 years now. It'll be 3 years in February. Oh, wow. Some of you have really been watching that long. Holy shit. Wow. Well, I want to thank everyone that's been watching me for that long. I really do appreciate it. Especially like sticking around as long as you have with kind of like my ups and downs. I really, really do appreciate it. So I guess I have a question for those of you who have been watching me for a while. Do you guys think I've changed since the beginning? And how have I changed? And this is a serious question. And like there's no wrong answer here. I'm not gonna yell at anyone. Like because I hear all the time from people that like you've changed so much. And I kind of think it's like for me when I hear that I've changed, um from conservatives anyway, what I hear is you don't say the things we like anymore, so now we're going to say that you're changed to try to pressure you into saying the things that we like. Judy says you've matured, seen some stuff. Judy, true words have never been spoken. Truer words have never been. The things that I've seen in the last 3 years have deeply, deeply, deeply shifted my perception of the world. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. Let's see. Mike says he doesn't think I've changed at all. Chris says you come off more confident. Well, I feel more confident. I mean, I think when I first started, I it was such a confusing time because, like, when again, I think that people who red pill will understand this. Like, you start to question everything about your perception, about the world, about everything you thought was true. And I really think I probably went through a good year of like really not even feeling like I had a firm grip on reality. And I think that especially in like, when you're on the internet and, like, people are listening to you for your voice and your opinions, I think, like, I was in a space where I didn't really have a fully developed voice and fully developed opinions, mostly because I my perception of reality was shifting in real time. And so hang on. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I must need some more beer. So my perception of reality was changing in real time, and I really don't think I developed my voice up probably around the time when I joined the libertarians, to be honest. I have to give the libertarians a lot of credit for this. I have found my voice being involved with the libertarians. I have become more clear on what I think. I have become more clear on how I view the world. I and I'm just more I give so much less fucks now. I'm like, if you agree with me, fine. If you don't agree with me, that's fine too. I don't really care. Here is my opinion. If you have contradictory evidence, show me the evidence. I've also learned how I've also learned how to I've gotten really good at sniffing out bullshit. I used to give people the benefit of the doubt. I no longer give people the benefit of the doubt. No offense to anyone, but I've just been lied to so many times that I've learned how to like sniff out the bullshit very, very quickly. Alexandra said, I don't think you've really changed. You've grown more comfortable being yourself and you don't give a fuck what people think. That's absolutely true, Alexandra. Thank you. Yes, but good change. You have grown with boundaries, thicker skin, and better understanding of the world around you. I think that those things are very true, that bitch. I've become more vindictive. I have absolutely become more vindictive. 100%. You are stronger and take less BS from people. Thank you for that. I think that's a great compliment. I think you should go on a guest shoot on Gut Valve. I don't want to do that. I don't think that would work out well for me, but I do appreciate it. It's a wonderful compliment. I just don't think it would work out well. You seem more chill. Well, 2021 was a very hard year for me. It was very, very hard. I got very, very depressed. Not because of politics, but because I generally hate being on the internet. That's not offense to no offense to the audience. Like it's not to do with you. But I was just having a lot of lies spread about me. It's quite something when people make it their job to smear you every day. Anyway. Brian says, yes, but I don't think it's been a bad thing. You're finding your own voice and being honest to your ethics. One of the things I've learned, and I think that this is really important for anyone who ever wants to do something like this, is don't lie and don't shill. There have been so many times when I've stuck to my guns when it was hard, and several months later, it turned out to be exactly the right thing to do. But at the time, it was hard. It was hard to tell the unpopular truth. And then way later, that unpopular truth turned out to be exactly correct. And so I don't regret that at all. Renee says, been here since Trump rally. Yes, changed. I wouldn't watch you if you hadn't. You've grown and know exactly what you believe and stand up for your values. Thank you, Renee. What a wonderful compliment. You become more combative, and as a turning point supporter, I watch you for my blind spots. I probably shouldn't have said that in a funny voice, Kyle, but you told me I was combative, so of course I'm going to be combative. I wouldn't say I'm combative. Um, there are so I don't think people understand, just because you guys see me picking fights doesn't mean you see every fight I could pick but don't. I really only pick fights when people come at me first. Like, the whole thing with Styx Hexenhammer. Styx Hexenhammer came at me. I didn't go at Styx Hexenhammer. Styx Hexenhammer came at me. Now, if you come at me, I'm gonna tell you exactly and precisely where to go. But if you leave me alone, I generally am really not going to care. There are so many fights I could pick every single day that I don't pick because I'm like, and Kyle, I see you saying in the chat, I appreciate the combativeness. Well, I'm certainly not afraid of conflict, and that's not going to change. Let's see. There was voting without ID available today in New Hampshire. Is that allowed? Yes, that is allowed. The only thing that you have to do in New Hampshire to vote is to show up at the polling location and sign an affidavit. That's it. So you can vote without ID in New Hampshire. Cheers. Sarah says, I think it's more that you're just saying what you really believe without worrying about hurting people's feelings. That's definitely true. Well, I was very scared of I was very worried about what people thought when I first started this. And now I just don't care anymore. Like, I've been put through the fire. I've been put through the fire. I have been canceled left, right, 19 ways from Sunday. And I just stopped caring at some point. This is actually really helpful, guys. I appreciate this feedback. Rick says, you've changed to be more in line with my views. Well, I appreciate that, Rick. Thank you. Peter says it's about schools, kids, and indoctrination. Literally nothing that I'm here for has changed. I agree with you, slightly less on politics now, but not much. I mean, Peter, we do have slightly different views, but it's like we aren't, it's okay to have different views, you know? Well, the conservatives I identify are really icky. Those are the conservatives I see. If people have an issue, and I've always said this, guys, if you have an issue with how your tribe is being portrayed by its loudest voices, then you need to speak up and become one of those loud voices. Because I can only work with what I see. And so if you're silent and I don't hear from you, I I have nothing to work with. I don't even know you're there. But if I have people screaming at me and sending me hate mail and death threats and canceling me on the internet and doxing my friends and spreading lies about me, those are the people I see. And they're all conservative. Sorry, not sorry. Except for some of the crazy libertarians that do it too. But they're playing off the conservatives. Want to laugh? My mom was listening and called you a commie and a potty mouth. I told her you weren't and were a knitter, and now she thinks you're cool. Hi, mom. I am a potty mouth. Your mom is right. I absolutely do have a potty mouth, if we're honest about it. But I'm not a commie. Vampire King Darkness, you have changed. You went from just another Republican social commentary channel that had minimal nuance to a legitimately open creator who talks about real issues. And while this is, I really do appreciate that. I mean, and I think part of the, and I was never really a Republican, guys. I hope you guys know that. Like, I joined the Republican Party to troll Lauren Witzke. Because Lauren Witzke said on Twitter, after Lauren Witzke called for the deportation of my husband, she said on Twitter, Carlin, you will never be a Republican. And then I was supposed to be in the debate with her on Elijah Schaefer's channel. And I was like, oh yeah, Lauren. And I went out to town hall and I changed my registration to Republican just to say I was a Republican to piss off Lauren Witzke. And then I left like a month later to join the Libertarians. But I will say, I definitely made the conscious choice to become more nuanced. Because in June 2021, I got attacked relentlessly by the white identitarians. Like, and this still sounds crazy when I say it out loud, that I got attacked by white identitarians for like months, a really long time. Still, sometimes to this day, they pop up every once in a while. But when it happened the first time, I, um, I made the choice to be more nuanced because I didn't I didn't want to just, be outrage content. I didn't think that was responsible. I think there are a lot of creators who make their careers on outrage content. I didn't wanna do that, and I think I have gotten a lot more nuanced since then. I also think that I mean, I went to PorkFest when that happened, and it really helped me kind of find my voice in terms of what I believe in terms of, like, the libertarian stuff. And that's still a constant ongoing journey. I'm not gonna say I haven't read the 12 economics books I was given to read when I joined the Libertarian Party, all right? But, um, I think I have become more nuanced, and that's been intentional, and I want to attract a nuanced audience. I don't want an audience that just wants to be pissed off all the time, because then I'm gonna be pissed off all the time. I've clearly become more British. Oh, no! Don't say that. Everything bad comes from Britain. Except for you, Mike. You're great. Squirrel nuts, total respect and appreciation, Carlin. Never give up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Frosty Thunder Trod. What a name. I'm sorry that my tribe keeps being abusive to you. I'm sorry too, Frosty. I really wish they wouldn't. And not just to me, but to anyone. Incognito says, you've also been honest and an open book. You have earned the loyalty of friendship. Be you and never change your core self. I appreciate that. Let's see. Guys, it looks like, according to the poll, 81% of you want to do a little bit of MSNBC live reaction stream. So we'll do, oh shit, cancel, don't reload. Oh no, I almost just did something bad. So we're going to do MSNBC live reaction stream in a minute. I just want to get to the top of the chat and then we'll do some MSNBC live reaction stream. Peter says, Carlin, I respect the hell out of your honesty and real activism. Always have, always will. Thank you, Peter. King Peter of the chat. Oh, Grandma Nay, you don't have to start. Thank you, Grandma Nay. Thank you. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through the chat, guys. I want to get to the end. Dennis says, deprogramming from the authoritarian paradigm takes a lot of work. It's what we've learned since childhood. It really does, Dennis. It really does. Derek! Hi, Carlin. Just got home from supporting our Free Stater candidates and voting for you and Jeremy. So hashtag war is gay. Thank you, Derek. And thank you for everyone in New Hampshire that voted for myself or Jeremy today. Hopefully both of us. And also Ben Weir, who's running for sheriff, Merrimack County. I really do appreciate it, guys. What a God, did you guys see? Do you guys see my picture? Check this out. Guys, I was on the ballot for governor. Let me show you. Do you guys know how surreal it is to see yourself? Oh, that's God, no, that's not what I wanted to show you. That's what I wanted to show you. Sorry, you saw the YouTube studio for a second. There's nothing secret there or anything. Do you guys know how surreal it is to be on the ballot? Like weirdest feeling in the world. I did a whole photo shoot in the voting booth. I was like, with my selfie in this little voting booth. And I was like, I had to go to multiple voting booths to get one that actually had light because many of them were like in the shadows. Yes, I did get the endorsement of the Free State Based Caucus. I was deeply honored by that endorsement. But I mean, come on. Like, I'm never going to run for office again in my life. So this will be the last time I'll be on the ballot for anything. And, you know, this is the last thing I'll say. Hang on. Cheers. Let me take a sip of beer. I just want to thank everyone in the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire and the and and all the free staters who supported me, who voted for me, and everyone else too, because I know I got Republican votes. I may have even got a Democrat vote or two. Who really knows? But I I really I do truly feel blessed to have had this opportunity. I feel very, very blessed to be a part of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire and the Free State Project. Um, and it's just like the best community in the world. And thank you for supporting me, guys. Thank you. And I know it wasn't about me really because it was more about Jeremy than me. But I do just really appreciate everyone. And thank you for allowing me to have this experience. It's something that I certainly never thought I would do in my life. I never thought I would run for anything. I certainly never thought I'd run for governor. I certainly never thought I would be the endorsed candidate of a political party and have my name printed on a ballot. That's pretty cool. Even if it wasn't a serious campaign, even if it was just to have a choice, even if it wasn't like I didn't even have like campaign t-shirts or signs or anything like that, even with all of that, it was still cool, man. It was still cool. And, you know, I just really appreciate it. I really do believe that like the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, the people in it, and the Free State Project and all this stuff, they're some of the best people I know. I feel so blessed to be here. And it was I really do think it's fate that I ended up here because I was already in like the libertarian homeland and I didn't even know it. So thank you guys for allowing me to have this experience. I really do appreciate it. All right. Do you guys want to watch some MSNBC? Let's go see what MSNBC is saying. Let me get this set up real quick. Hang on. Got to get it set up. MSNBC reports. Yes, I don't want breaking news. I want to watch on live TV. Hang on. I know you guys can't see what I'm looking at right now, but I promise you I'm looking for MSNBC. MSNBC not on demand. No, I just want to watch live. MSNBC live. How many of you have watched MSNBC recently? How many of you have watched MSNBC recently? Oh, this is a great question. Is Zuby the fakest try-hard right-wing influencer on the web? No. No. Zuby is not fake at all. Zuby is who he is. I have nothing but respect and admiration for Zuby. So if you're looking me to shit talk Zuby because you guys think I start feuds with everyone, no. You're not finding that here. I have nothing but respect and admiration for that man. We love Zuby. He's a good person. I think he is who he is. And, nothing but love. Nothing but love. All right, guys. If you haven't watched MSNBC recently, I promise you, you are in for a treat. We're going to do a little MSNBC live reaction stream. And remember, guys, I'm going to be back live. We'll do this probably for about an hour and a half, maybe. But I will be live at 9:30 tonight for Nothing Remotely Controversial. And we're going to come back and do that. All right, good. The stream is working. Let's listen in.
8 points in 2020. It changed a very little bit in redistricting, a little bit more Republican friendly. This is one of those targets Republicans have. They have invested heavily here. They think they've got a very strong candidate. 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to start getting numbers here, and this could be a bellwether congressional district. But right now, we're just getting numbers in Indiana from the Eastern time zone. We're also starting to get numbers from the other state with 6 p.m. Eastern time zone closing. That is Kentucky. And you see just a very small, really one county from Eastern Kentucky coming in here. Rand Paul, again, running for re-election, the heavy favorite to get re-elected. But what we're also following in Kentucky tonight is, if you remember over the summer, that abortion referendum in Kansas, that was a constitutional amendment in Kansas that would have put into the state constitution that there is no right to abortion. Went down to big defeat in Kansas, as you remember this summer. Essentially, that identical proposal is on the ballot in Kentucky tonight to put into the state constitution that there is no right to abortion. So one county, I'm just going to give you a sense of what we're following tonight, but this is an overwhelmingly Republican county in eastern Kentucky. Rand Paul is winning by 33 points. How's that ballot proposition doing here? It's basically 50-50.
Oh, wow.
Yes would enshrine in the state constitution language that says there's no right to abortion. No would not do that. So, the anti-abortion side is yes, the pro-choice side is no, essentially, on this. And you're seeing a significant split between the Republican-Democrat vote in this county and how that ballot proposition is doing. So, yeah, one county in Kentucky, but we're going to be keeping an eye on that proposition all night, certainly. And the rest of this hour, this board could light up and we get a little more clarity potentially on that ballot proposition.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you very much. And on those,
Rachel Maddow's on. Oh no!
Obviously, there's a couple different ways in which that plays out tonight. One is how it affects people's overall propensity to vote and who they vote for. It's a nationally motivating thing for a lot of voters. And there's been some interesting questions, I think, raised about whether or not polling accurately captures people's feelings about abortion. Both Nicole Wallace and Joy Reid were talking about that during our special election eve.
Come on, New Hampshire voters, half an hour more to vote for me. But there are 5 states in which abortion is literally on the ballot. Michigan and California and Vermont, there are propositions on the ballot that would enshrine reproductive rights, reproductive liberty in the state constitution. But then in Kentucky and in Montana, we're seeing anti-abortion measures as well. So it'll be interesting to watch those in the abstract, I mean, or in themselves, and also how they match to the votes in the rest of those states and everything else that is on the ballot. All right, we got much more to come here this election night. I do believe we've got a shot here of McAllen, Texas. Big lines tonight in McAllen in South Texas. Texas is one of the only states in the country where early voting numbers actually didn't keep pace, didn't set a record compared with the last midterm in 2018. Isn't that interesting?
That maps itself to there being larger numbers of people who turn out today on election day, we shall see. But this is the line tonight in McAllen. Much more to come tonight. Stay with us.
I'm going to turn down the volume for a second. So I'm going to say this about Texas. I'm not saying I want Beto to win, because I wouldn't wish that on the good people that live in Texas. However, I'm sorry, it would be fucking hilarious if Beto won Texas. Much of my position of politics at this point is like, I just want to laugh. I don't take politics seriously at all. I do not believe that serious people are in politics. I believe the whole thing is fucked. I believe that we would be better off burning the system down and starting over from scratch. And so I'm admittedly a little accelerationist in that I obviously don't care if Democrats win, because I think that if Democrats win, their policies are just going to accelerate things like that much faster. And all that means is that like that's going to be like the quicker things accelerate, the sooner we get to the inevitable conclusion of the entire system collapsing. That's not the answer that people like. I sometimes think that things need to get worse before they get better. And so people might not understand why I'm saying, like, I think it would be fucking hilarious if Beto won Texas. But, like, it's not because I like Beto. It's because it would be hilarious. Come on. You know it's true. For all the reading that's going to go on MSNBC tonight about the amount of Republicans who are going to win and the fact that they are definitely going to lose the House, maybe lose the Senate, maybe. It would be a beautiful counterbalance to the entire affair. Let's just be honest about that. It would be great. Dennis says, Dennis, by the way, is in charge of the Progressive State Project. So it's one of Dennis's missions in life in order to get progressives to leave the state of New Hampshire and go somewhere else. And Dennis says there are great places for the Texas progressive authoritarians to move to. There are great places. Ultimately, guys, listen. Ultimately, my position, I'm going to break out the knitting. This is how you know it's getting serious. My position is that I support secession in New Hampshire. I think there should absolutely be a vote on secession. In my ideal world, New Hampshire becomes its own country. And then we can do whatever we want and be left the F alone. I have gotten very, very New Hampshire first in the last, probably, you know what, honestly, probably since May. After like the Reno reset and after we took over the Libertarian Party. Like, I've gotten very aggressively New Hampshire first. I barely even leave New Hampshire anymore. I love it here. I have no desire to leave. And you know, that's kind of my priority at this point, is not on national I think national politics are entertaining, but I don't really care, to be honest. Like, I don't care if Don Bulldog loses and Maggie Hassan goes back to DC, because neither of them are going to have any tangible impact on my life. They're going to waffle around in DC and not get anything done. And so it truly makes no difference to me who goes to DC at all. I care far more about who gets elected to office here than I do care who goes to DC. Because ultimately, I think that we need to initiate a peaceful divorce. We need to all go our own separate ways. We need to come up with an agreement where we can trade and barter. And that's it. And we need to admit that we just have irreconcilable differences. And New Hampshire is where all the libertarians can come and we can have our libertarian homeland. And if you're a conservative, you can go to Florida. And then the Democrats can have California, which they already have it anyway. It would be fascinating from like an anthropologic perspective to be able to kind of like separate out all of these different tribes and like see who does the best and see who like makes the best society to live in. It'd be fascinating. But guys, polls are about to close in New Hampshire. Let's tune into MSNBC. 20 minutes.
Welcome back. It is 6:36 on the East Coast, which means that in about 23 minutes, we are looking at poll closings from a bunch of big states. We are looking at poll closings at the top of this hour in Georgia, in the rest of Indiana. Some of Indiana
we don't believe in that.
The rest of Indiana will close. Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia, almost all of Florida. That's going to be happening tonight. Within the next 20
Oh, I thought our polls were closing at 7.
I'm going to turn
Maybe
things
they're
over
closing
now to
at
my
8. Who
colleague
knows?
Alex Wagner. She's got her team of political insiders who are surveying the landscape for tonight. Alex, over to you.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm here with former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, former Missouri Democratic
Fucking
Senator
Jen
Claire
Psaki.
McCaskill, and former RNC Chair Michael Steele here in the clubhouse, guys. Okay, you are connected.
I thought they closed
to
at 7 too,
important
Dennis.
networks. What are you guys hearing at this moment in time when so much is on the line, Jen?
Well, I'm hearing a lot from Democrats about their concern that because they've run such a big push on mail-in ballots and early voting across the country, Republicans are going to try to claim victory early. Because in a lot of these key states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and others, they count the early votes and the vote by mails later. And sometimes that takes hours or it takes days. So this is really an area that Democrat after Democrat has brought up with me as one they want to watch, one they want to call out as they start to see that on
Democrats
Twitter
are going to start arguing
part
election
of the reason
fraud.
that those ballots are counted late is because Republican-led legislatures have made sure that the processing of those mail-in ballots and absentee ballots cannot happen.
That is
until
exactly the
day.
case in Pennsylvania, which is such a key state tonight that we're watching. They are not counted today because of the Republican legislature there. And that is also a place where this type of game playing could happen.
And we're already seeing
They're
cries
gonna
of fraud
accuse the
from
Republicans
former
of election
president
fraud.
and
It's
other
gonna be so
Republicans
great.
across the country. Senator McCaskill.
Well, people feel pretty good about Georgia. The turnout, I've been talking to the back room at the Democratic Senatorial Campaign headquarters. They feel really good about turnout of young people. They feel very good about the turnout of African Americans, especially in Georgia and Pennsylvania.
I think Georgia's going to a
little worried
runoff
about
for the
Nevada,
Senate.
But what's weird in Nevada is it's hard to tell how many people are showing up that are dropping a ballot in a ballot box as opposed to waiting to vote in person. So what you're seeing in terms of early numbers are those people who have voted in person. It's very hard to tell what that turnout actually is. And when you see Jacob's reports, it looks like they're lined up for miles.
Yes, go Shane Hazel in Georgia.
About the turnout in Nevada.
And
Shane Hazel is fucking amazing.
The Democrats have been really focused on getting
And
people
even
to turn in
Chase.
those ballots by just dropping them off. The culinary workers, which is such a huge, important union, especially in
Chase
Clark
Oliver
County,
blocked me on
Vegas,
Twitter, but I
baby,
still
the
want him
big,
to do
big
well.
Place where Democrats are relying on. They are doing that. They're picking them up legally. Everyone legally
Not
picking them up,
harvesting.
dropping them off. Those also we don't know the numbers on. So there's a lot of early numbers and Democrat
Jen,
numbers
what
that
are
we
you
don't know at
hiding?
this
So
point.
just keep in mind, the people that we are expecting are dropping those ballots off may be disproportionately voting for Democrats.
Yeah, because MAGA has been trained not to use a drop box.
Right.
I mean, they're out there with guns and camo, right? I mean, they're not going to be doing that against their own people. So they've been trained to not use the mail and not use drop boxes, but to show up in person. So they're really going to be cynical about trying to claim victory before they can, or hopefully never.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
on the other side of town.
I told you guys MSNBC was a trip. It's like comedy.
I mean, it is. I mean, it is. I'm hearing and seeing a lot of big wave, big night enthusiasm from Republicans right now. And it's interesting, it's on two fronts. Trump is kind of pushing a separate narrative that you see playing out with folks like Carrie Lake, who are, nitpicking every little detail, claiming or setting up a narrative for fraud. A lot of the mainstream guys are really kind of not paying attention to that. They don't want to get distracted by that.
Like really big.
But that's going to come back later on, should we go into day 2, day 3. So they're setting
Fun fact,
that
you can open carrier polls in New Hampshire.
Right tonight, and you've been
true.
fraud.
I'm glad you said
so
that.
Awkward then.
Glad you raised that point.
Fraudulent Carrie Lake?
Carrie Lake is interesting because she's saying that this system, all these little issues that she's had all day long, are problematic. So when she was asked just recently, well, should we then, if you win, question whether or not you won? She said, well, it's not that. I'm just concerned about the people who are administrating the election. So she's trying to cut it.
Dennis,
both
we
ways.
need to make Carrie Lake a libertarian.
And probably will be successful in doing that, because
she is really good. I really like her.
Great election, everybody. Go home, right?
And remember, in Maricopa County, that's administered by Republicans.
It's administered by Republicans.
It's not Democrats that are administering that election.
Exactly, but that's lost on a lot of voters. The other side of that
They're
same
so
block,
desperate
though,
to prove that like all
you're now
elections are
seeing the
valid as long
jockeying
as they
beginning,
win.
For leadership. So Claire and I had a little conversation last night off air about the future Republican leadership in the Senate. Josh Hawley tonight comes out and declares, I'm not supporting Mitch McConnell for Speaker. So you're beginning to see that set up. Now, I've talked to some folks about that.
Yeah.
Mitch ain't worried.
Oh, that's funny.
You've got to go through the motions.
Told you.
If
you
Republicans
said he's going to be Speaker. I didn't disagree with
make
you.
Mitch McConnell Speaker again, they're stupid.
I don't think it's going to be a fight.
They have to win.
Scott, who wants to cut Social Security, the leader of the
Josh Hawley in a fight. We saw him run already.
I know.
So we're not worried about Josh Hawley.
First, they have to win.
They have to win the Senate.
We have the videotape of Josh Hawley running
But there's
away.
excitement. There's excitement.
Thank
There's
you,
a little
Dennis.
bit of measuring of drapes right now.
I think I did a good
little
job
bit
in
of
that
preparation.
NHPR interview.
And so you're going to see this, I think, by late evening, certainly tomorrow, begin to shift into how we govern now, what we do, and what's the next step. I don't know how much governing we're going to hear, since top of mind is impeaching Joe Biden for many in the
I
House.
want to see Joe Biden get impeached so bad.
There's fat and
Bring
comfortable. Let's
on
just
the
put it that way
impeachment.
at this hour of the evening.
Cautiously optimistic and fat and comfortable. Somehow those two realities are going to intersect.
That should be day one of a Republican House. Impeach Joe Biden.
That is true. Jen Psaki, Claire McCaskill, Chairman Steele. Thank you all for your
She's got a
insights
good suit.
and insider
That's a pretty
information.
suit.
Rachel, back over
We
to
have
you.
to give credit where credit is due.
Checking in with the
Her suit is
political
pretty.
insiders, those political professionals who have been there, done that, and escaped with their lives over the course of the evening tonight. At the top of this hour, we're going to start seeing the first results coming in from one of the tightest races in the country, which could determine, of course, who controls the U.S. Senate. These are the poll closings that we are heading quickly toward. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
All right. So I have some insider information from Georgia. And what I'm hearing is that people think that Georgia is going to go to a runoff election for the Senate. And I think that that's correct, because Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock are basically neck and neck, but I don't think either of them is going to cross the 50% line, because there's a libertarian in the race who has blocked me on Twitter and is generally kind of a jackass. However, he is playing spoiler tonight in Georgia. The Libertarian Party of Georgia is purposefully trying to spoil both the Senate race and the governor's race with Shane Hazel. And by the way, if you did not see Shane Hazel's debate performance in Georgia, you need to go watch it. Shane Hazel is incredible. He did such like what they think is going to happen in Georgia as well. So we'll have to see about that. I want to see, like, I don't mind that the Republicans are going to take back the House. I think that that's a good thing. I think there needs to be more balance. And I think it's just going to be more fun with the Republicans having the House, right? And I'm sorry, if the Republicans do not impeach Joe Biden, then the Republicans are just not doing their jobs. Impeaching Joe Biden, and listen, because here's the thing. Here's why I say impeaching Joe Biden should be the number one thing that they do. Joe Biden's going to be president no matter what. So guess what, guys? Ain't no crazy bills going to get signed. Republicans aren't going to be able to do shit even if they control the House. Except impeach Joe Biden. Impeaching Joe Biden is one of the most effective morale boosting things that the Republican Party can possibly do. And I don't even care what excuse they give for it. They can impeach him over Afghanistan. They can impeach him because he's not mentally fit to be in office. There are any number of excuses that they can make, but I want to see Republicans impeach Joe Biden on day one of control of the House of Representatives. And if they don't do that, then they need to fuck right off. I also think that Republicans are crazy if they continue to support Mitch McConnell. Okay, I know that Mitch McConnell's not up for re-election for like another 4 years, fine. However, he should in no way, shape, or form be the Senate leader, whether that be majority or minority. He in no way, shape, or form. And quite frankly, I don't think that Kevin McCarthy should be the Speaker of the House. Who would you guys like to see as Speaker of the House? I'm honestly asking. Like, chat in, who would you like to see as Speaker of the House if Republicans take over? I don't think it should be Kevin McCarthy. It should be Trump. Yes! Thomas Massie. That would be great. That'd be fantastic. Ted Cruz is in the Senate. So Ted Cruz could be like the Senate majority leader or minority leader. Bot, what the fuck? What are you smoking, bot? Marjorie. Yep, Marjorie. Got a couple of votes for Marjorie. Marjorie would be entertaining. I think Marjorie is a nut job, but Marjorie would be entertaining, and so I'm on board with that. Another vote for Massie. I just don't think it should be Kevin McCarthy. Oh, Marjorie would be so entertaining. All right, let's tune back in.
Ago, we had a live look at a big, healthy-looking line of voters in McAllen, Texas. We're going now there with Priscilla Thompson, who is live for us there at that polling place. Priscilla, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Rachel, that line has only gotten longer since we last showed that shot. And I'll give you a look at it. We're at the end here, and we'll just walk all the way up. All of these folks coming to get in line to vote after getting off work, wanting to make their elections heard, their voices heard on Election Day. We've got a high-profile governor's race here and 3 congressional seats that are very competitive here in South Texas. And this line has been out the door throughout the entire day since we've been here. This is about as far as we can go, but you'll see the line still curving around with folks trying to get inside the door. I have been talking to voters here all day today about what's on their mind as they're heading to the polls. And for the people who I've spoken to that have talked about the economy, they've talked about immigration and crime, many of those people tell me that they're supporting Governor Abbott and Republicans this time around. And in fact, I'll swing the camera around to show you there are a whole host of supporters of these various candidates who have been out here all day just shouting at this line of voters, a lot of Governor Abbott's supporters saying, vote your pocketbook, look at the gas prices, and trying to make that last-ditch effort to voters. But I've also been speaking to Democrats here, and especially a lot of women who are saying that abortion is the #1 issue on their mind, and they're going to be supporting Democrats. And I was struck by one conversation I had with a voter. Her name is Marissa. She's a teacher here, and she told me about that she's supporting Beto, and she is for a woman's right to choose, even though she's very religious. She feels like that's a decision between a woman and God, not a woman and the government. And I was very struck by how she was thinking through that decision. But this is what things are looking like here with just an hour to go until polls close. Back to you.
Priscilla Thompson in McAllen, Texas. Priscilla, thank you for that. Fascinating. It's nice to see, I have to say, it's seeing the lines of people and people who've been there all day. She said those lines have been long. And to see all the electioneering going on, but everybody's still in good spirits. Yep. Everybody, not being tense, it just being a lot of enthusiasm. That's exactly what we were looking for. But I also want to talk about some of that data that comports basically with what Priscilla was just describing there anecdotally. Some of the most interesting exit poll data that we've seen today is on the issue of abortion. I want to show you guys this and get your take on it.
I did an exit poll today.
In terms of the NBC News exit polls today, voters were asked, what is the most important issue to you?
Yep.
And overall, the #1 answer was inflation at 32%, but look how close abortion is.
I keep telling
abortion
you guys, abortion is
and
more
then
important than
else
people
much
want to
lower.
say it
Crime,
is.
gun policy, immigration down at 10 and 11%.
I keep saying, I know inflation is
but
the most important,
right
but
up there with inflation.
I've always said this was going to be a
there's
problem.
There's a qualitative question, follow-up question on this subject, which I think is also interesting, which is how do you feel about the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade? And the exit poll on that is striking. I mean, the largest response there, 39% of voters saying they're angry with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe. Another 21% saying they are dissatisfied with it. Put those together, that's 60%. In terms of the people who are enthusiastic or satisfied with it, that comes to less than 40%.
This is what's bringing out Democrat voters, guys.
These exit polls are suggesting, as Priscilla was just saying, it's what she's hearing from people in line who are there to vote Democrat in McAllen, that abortion is motivating and emotionally so.
I mean, we saw this,
That's what's bringing out Democrats.
We live in an era in which it's
people
hard to
kept
know
wanting
how
to deny it.
But what we do know are when there are special elections. That's hard data, right? We saw it this summer with the special elections, right? The Kansas abortion vote. We saw a number of elections here in New York State, right? In New York,
Chris
19
Hayes is such a
special
cuck.
election that was run largely on
Mouth
abortion.
the like button
Again,
if you think
not
Chris
polling,
Hayes is a
not
cuck.
error, the actual votes of the actual voters. And I think, one of the things that jumps out in that exit poll is, if you're a political practitioner, Nicole, you could tell me if I'm wrong here, you want to talk about issues you're winning 60-40. And what you don't want to do is talk about issues they're winning 60-40. And much of a campaign is a battle space between them trying to get everyone to talk about the issue they're winning 60-40 and you trying to get everyone to talk about the issue you're winning 60-40. There was a little bit of second guessing down the stretch about like Dems focusing too much on abortion. It always seemed to me like they're winning that issue 60-40. Of course they want to center it in voters' minds.
Oh, Joy Reid changed her hair again.
No, you.
Joy Reid is blonde.
I mean, just real quick, it's
God.
not even just centering it in voters' minds. Anecdotally, and
that
I
is
don't know
a
if you heard
horrible
your talk
wig.
yesterday
I'm
about
sorry.
people deleting their apps to follow their periods. What I'm hearing just anecdotally are people who are angry. And the thing is, it's not just a matter of what issue you think is most important. It's what issue will actually make you vote. What are you voting on? Are you voting on the thing that you're the most passionate about? That is what I think campaigns are caring about. I mean, was just furiously texting with people, long lines in Dane County in Wisconsin. They're expecting potentially 85% turnout. Campuses is where they're seeing a lot of energy. They're having to actually add poll workers
means
in
Democrats.
some areas of Wisconsin because, they have same-day voting registration in Wisconsin. Now, we don't know what that
Same
is.
thing's happening on the UNH campus, by the way.
Makes you actually register to vote on election day. Yeah. And it's what you're most passionate about. And I think for women, for a lot of women, this is a foundational issue of whether you own yourself, whether you're religious or not.
Totally agree. And the seismic thing that we'll be talking about for a long time is that 60% of voters view the Supreme Court as a dead political weight.
Yeah.
That is that might be the most seismic shift in issue in my political career. Republicans used to vote on Supreme Court. You don't have 60% of voters saying we don't like it. It is now a liability against Republicans.
Yeah.
And karma's a what. But this Supreme Court was made by Mitch McConnell. It was made by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And if they now
Nicole
are
Walsh
sort
is
of
losing her voice.
choking on it, they deserve everything they get.
We talk about the democracy crisis. It's also a crisis of legitimacy for the Supreme Court. Mitch McConnell stole a seat. Donald Trump got fewer votes and put 3 people on it. People went before the Senate and said under testimonial oath of perjury they wouldn't change Roe. First thing they did was go in and do that.
Right.
You see a wave here. Inflation is huge. We have an inflation problem in this and many countries. We'll see whether that predominates for some, but 60% say legal, 60% dissatisfied or angry. It's a huge issue. It's not going away.
And it plays directly into a lot of these states where governors races are here because it's going to be up to individual state policies whether or not abortion is banned. And so it puts the abortion issue front and center in abortion in every governor's race where this is potentially in play. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side of it, we're going to have poll closing in a bunch of big states. You'll want to be here for this. Stay with us.
Sweet. So if you never watch MSNBC, here's something that might surprise you. They haven't said anything crazy yet. Not really. Maybe a little crazy. Not really. I wonder what that poll is that says that 60% of the American people think that the Supreme Court is dead weight. I don't think that sounds true to me. But I will say this, though. I have seen on Twitter photos from the colleges in New Hampshire, and there are extremely long, extremely young same-day voter registration. And I was always said I don't think I think that Annie Custer is going to win, and she's going to go back to Congress. I think that there is an outside chance that Caroline Leavitt could defeat Chris Pappas, so that seat could turn red. I don't think Don Bolduc is going to win. I think Maggie Hassan's going back to the Senate. I just have a gut. I have a gut feeling about this. We'll ask Joshua again tonight. Joshua told me yesterday he thought that Don Bolduc was going to win. It's a psychic, so take it take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what it's worth. But I don't think he's going to win. And I think that that's partially because of the young vote in New Hampshire. I just do. I would love for Jeremy to win. I don't think he's going to, but I would love for Jeremy to win. That would be great. Jeremy is legitimately the best choice for Senate in New Hampshire, if we're honest about it. I'm ready for some of these polls to start closing. I'm ready to go. Let the election night begin. Guys, just so you know, we will be doing a stream tonight called Nothing Remotely Controversial at 9:30. Well, I will have Joshua the Psychic on the channel, and we will be psychicking election results. You can come and ask your questions about the election if you like. All right, let's tune back in.
We are just moments away from polls closing in Georgia,
moments away,
Florida, New Hampshire, Vermont, South Carolina, Virginia. Steve, what are we looking for?
Yeah, it's 2
we should have gotten
away.
Jeremy and Maggie
really
Hassan
start getting fast and furious. But right now, just a few more votes we can show you coming out of Kentucky. Again, right now, disproportionately where the vote is coming from is Louisville, one of the very few Democratic areas in the state, Jefferson County. It's about 60% of the vote. Charles Booker, the Democrat, that puts him ahead in the tally over Rand Paul. But just again, compare the Senate race.
Rand Paul's going to win that.
We have reported right now. That's what you're seeing to that abortion proposition. So you see that the no side is running about 10 points right now ahead of the Democrat in the Senate race. Again, this is disproportionately Democratic vote we're getting in Kentucky, mainly from Louisville. But we're going to keep an eye, obviously, on this one as this fills up over the next hour. But I'm looking at the clock. In less than 90 seconds, Florida, Virginia, New Hampshire. We're going to start getting Georgia.
That was actually Vermont,
Steve.
A
lot of very important
That's
places.
Vermont. That's not
All right,
New Hampshire.
As we head toward those 7 o'clock poll closings,
doesn't even know what's
again,
well. He does
keep
know.
in
He
mind
just made a
that
mistake.
what we are getting is results as they come in. Some states give you a lot of
I
results.
know Steve
at the very
Kornacki knows
beginning.
where New Hampshire
Some
is.
states they will trickle in, and in state by state, there will be a partisan skew depending on the state as to whether or not Democratic-leaning votes come in first or Republican-leaning votes come in first. Now, you can try to be your own mini Steve Kornacki and memorize these things in 50 states across the country so that you know exactly what colored glasses to put on when looking at what percentage of what precinct is coming in at what time. Or you can take the hopefully more relaxing course of looking at these things, which we would recommend, which is be patient. Wait till a lot of the result is in, and by the time you get an NBC News election desk characterization of
$5
the race,
says that
you
there'll
can
be a water
confident
pipe
that
burst
the
in
election
Fulton
desk is more
County,
than
Georgia.
99%
I would not be
certain
surprised at
that
all,
that is how the
Phil.
race is going to turn out.
I wouldn't be
again,
surprised at all.
Patience is a virtue in all circumstances.
Polls
Patience
closed.
is probably a health necessity
It's all happening.
on a night like tonight as we are starting to get our first poll closings. At 7 o'clock, we're looking at Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia. And we will give you these results as they come in.
God,
the NBC
Arizona
News
today. Could you
election
believe
desk,
that nonsense in
feeds these to
Arizona?
us just as we get there. But at 7 o'clock on the East Coast, as polls close in those states, these are the results as we can see them now. In the Georgia Senate race between Democrat Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker, this race is too early to call. In the Indiana
That's
Senate
different
race,
than too close.
the projected winner of the Indiana Senate race is incumbent Republican Todd Young. In the South Carolina
Tim
Senate
Scott.
race, the projected
I don't
winner
mind Tim
is the
Scott.
incumbent Republican Tim Scott. In the Kentucky Senate race, this race is too early to call, but Republican incumbent Rand Paul is projected as leading in this race in Kentucky. In the Vermont Senate race, this is also too early to call. This is an open
We know who's going to win in
Senate race
Vermont.
in Vermont. This is too early to call, but the
Oh,
Democrat,
that's right. Peter Welch is running for
characterized
Senate.
as being in the lead. This is the overall picture of the U.S. Senate at this hour. Blue seats held by Democrats, red seats held by Republicans. All the ones that are grayed out are those yet to be decided. Right now, the Democrats hold 36. The Republicans hold 31. That means we're looking at 33 undecided seats. In the governor's races, at this hour, we are looking at the Georgia governor's race. This race between incumbent Republican Brian Kemp and his Democratic challenger, Stacey Abrams. This race is too early to call, the Georgia governor's race at this hour. Up to South Carolina. The South Carolina governor's race, we have an incumbent Republican, Henry McMaster, against his Democratic challenger, Joe Cunningham. This is too early to call in the South Carolina governor's race. And in the Vermont governor's race, we have an incumbent Republican governor.
No, that's not who they ran in
Phil
Vermont.
Scott.
No.
He's facing a Democratic challenger, Brenda Siegel. In the Vermont governor's race, this is at this hour too
That's
early
such a
to call.
Vermont
So
Democrat.
as promised,
Oh my God,
at 7
she's a
o'clock,
raging
lots of
progressive. I can
poll
tell just by
closings,
looking at her.
But only a few of them called. Steve, what are you looking at in terms of what's interesting here?
Well, yeah, we do have our first result in from
Chase
Georgia,
Oliver,
partial
the
result from one county, just to
Libertarian.
show you. Richmond
Go
County,
Chase,
this is where
go
Augusta
Chase.
is. This
Spoil
is a
that
Democratic
race,
area,
buddy.
so it's statewide.
Do
That is
it,
all
Chase.
the vote that we have
You
right
may
now.
have blocked me on
as
Twitter,
we
but I still
said,
want you to do well.
in Georgia, and I think this is a difference from what we saw in 2020. I think you can expect a lot of the earliest vote to come out to be more on the Democratic-friendly
Chase
side.
Oliver
That is
getting
not the
mentioned on
same-day vote
MSNBC.
coming out
Good
first
for
in a
you,
lot of counties.
Chase.
Instead, what you're getting here, you see in Richmond County, 41% of all the vote in one batch.
Someone
So that's
tweeted
early,
Chase Oliver
that's
and said,
mail,
Carlin
that's,
said,
you know, votes they were able
congratulations.
to
He blocked me, so
tabulate
he
today
won't
and
see
get
it.
out.
Someone
And you
please
can see
tweeted
just
him.
this county in the 2020 presidential
Tell
election
him
was
Carlin
a
wants him to
68%
spoil the
Biden
race.
county. It's that much more favorable to the Democrats with this big early batch of votes that they're able to report out. So again, the name of the game here in Richmond, and we'll see this replicated in county after county. This sort of gives you a
Thank
preview
you,
of
Bill.
perhaps how to watch Georgia.
Be very
and the results
nice to
come in. It'll
him.
be when the same day is added to this, does this number tick down? How much does this tick down? I think we'll see that story in a lot of counties in Georgia tonight. But that's you're seeing the Senate race right there. Obviously, we're following the governor's race. You see
Shane
Abrams
Hayes.
tracking
They
a couple
don't even have
points
a picture of
behind
Shane Hazel. Shane
Raphael
Hazel is
Warnock.
so
Something else we're going to be
handsome.
looking at. We've been seeing gaps in the polls between Warnock.
Why don't they have
and
a
Abrams,
picture of
between
Shane
Kemp
Hazel?
and
He's so
Walker.
handsome.
Is there a gap? How much of a gap? That's another story we're certainly going to be following.
That's
the other thing
lame.
we're waiting on, and I'm just checking to see if anything has come in Florida. Okay, Broward County. What do we have in Broward County? So this is it. This is one of the biggest counties in Florida. This is where Fort Lauderdale is. And again, like I said, in Florida, every
They
county
were saying on
right now in
Twitter
this
that
time
Broward
zone,
was
in
going to be
this
a
time period,
blowout for
about 30 minutes
DeSantis, and that
outside
doesn't
the
look like a
Panhandle,
blowout for
will
DeSantis to me.
report out its combined early and mail vote. And in this case, this is more than half the vote in one of the biggest counties in the state, Broward County, heavily Democratic. So you've got Christ here with that 25-point advantage in a heavily Democratic county over DeSantis. Now let's put this in some perspective here. Broward ended up in 2020 with Biden at 64.5% for
They
Biden
were saying
in
on
2020.
Twitter today
That's
Broward
where
was
he
going to be a
ended up.
blowout for DeSantis.
Like we said, this first batch of vote that you get,
I
this
thought that was
big
Republican
chunk of vote
hubris, and
in
now
these
I'm being
counties
proven
in
right.
Florida is generally going to be the high watermark for Democrats, because what's to come after it is going to be the same day vote. And as you've been talking about, the same day vote tends to be more Republicans. The expectation that this would be the high watermark and it would come down from here. We'll see if that's how it pans out tonight. That's how we've seen it pan out in the past. But we are getting, you see that in Broward, and I think we can expect in the next few minutes a lot more of these counties to be lighting up. So we've got the governor's race. We've got the Senate race. You can see
CNN has
Demings
Shane
running in that
Hazel's
county
photo.
about a point better. Val Demings, the Democratic
Isn't he
challenger,
handsome,
Marco
Shayna?
Rubio, running about a point better in that county. Okay, we got Alachua. This is Gainesville. This is where the University of Florida is. Again, this is a core Democratic county, so you're getting a lot of Democratic vote out of there. You see, I said it's going to start lighting up like a Christmas tree. You're getting the early in the mail vote out. Now you're getting the Gulf Coast here. You're getting north of Tampa. You're getting into a core Republican area, and so you can see huge Republican vote there for Rubio. He's running at 67%. DeSantis is tracking a point above him. You're adding all of these together statewide. This process is going to be playing out pretty intensely over the next few minutes. The other thing to keep in mind in Florida is it's significant for control of the House, because Florida gained a new congressional seat in redistricting this year, and they also had one of the most aggressive remaps, redrawings of the political map. The governor, Ron DeSantis, insisted on a map that even some Republican state legislators were uncomfortable with, that functionally could result in drawing several new Republican districts here. Actually, we'll call up and just show
Lady
you.
Hawk just
There
voted
are a
for
couple
Eric
of places
Gerhardt in
here.
Pennsylvania. I'm sure he
For
appreciates
instance,
that.
The
Thank
4th
you,
district, this used to be a Democratic district represented by Al Lawson. Al Lawson is now running against a Republican incumbent in the 2nd district. He basically switched to run in what is a pretty heavily Republican district. Lawson is a huge underdog in this district. His district was the 4th and was basically blown up in redistricting. And instead, the 4th now is a district that Donald Trump carried by 7 points. So if the Republicans are able to win this, this is suddenly friendly territory. This would be a pickup for Republicans. Similar story in the 7th district of Florida. Again, you can see here under these lines, Donald Trump won it by 5 points. It was previously a Democrat by 10 county, a congressional district. I hear we are getting a big number out of Georgia, so let me call that one up right here. I think we're getting Fulton County in right now. Yes, we are. Okay, so we're getting, this is a—
Spoil that race, Chase Oliver.
Well, it says 8%, but I think we're getting, let's take a look here. Okay, yeah, this is it. We got the mail and the early. Again, this is what we were talking about happening in Georgia. So you're getting that combined mail early that they were able to tabulate all during the day today. This is Atlanta. This is the biggest county in the state. This is the heavily Democratic. And again, you can see here, Joe Biden finished up in 2020. And remember, he won Georgia by 11,000 votes in 2020. So Fulton County was a big part of that, and he got about 72.5%. With the mail and the early vote, Warnock is starting out in Fulton County at 75.3%. So now what's going to happen, and it may take a little while because they've got to bring all of these same day, to get the same day counted, they got to bring it to a centralized location. It's a sort of a bureaucratic mechanical process, but we will start getting the same day vote. And the question will be, does that come down? If so, how much does that come down? And if you're Warnock, you don't want it coming down any farther than that Biden number where Biden finished in 2020. That was just enough for Joe Biden to carry Georgia in 2020. Take a look at the governor's race. And again, you see, now that's interesting.
They really need to get a
bit of a gap here.
Someone send MSNBC a picture of Shane Hazel.
I just showed you Raphael Warnock over 75%. Stacey Abrams in the governor's race only getting 71% from that initial batch of Democratic friendly votes. That already puts her under that Joe Biden number.
Bill, you got the right one. I appreciate it.
72.6%. So again, she's now got a challenge of hoping for a different pattern in that same same-day vote, perhaps, than is expected, than has been expected. But again, this area right around Atlanta, there's an expectation, or at least certainly a distinct possibility. We're going to get a lot of these big counties right around Atlanta. A lot of them are very Democratic friendly. We're going to get big batches of votes like this pretty early on in the night. You do see some of the more rural Republican counties now, they're coming in too. This is where Republicans counter the Democratic strength in the Atlanta metro area. You could see Brian Kemp in the early, is it just Pierce County, very small.
It would be hilarious if Stacey Abrams won governor. I'm sorry, it would be.
Vote here in 2020. Kemp starting out at 89% in the governor's race.
You all know
Herschel
it's
Walker
true.
starting out at 87% in the Senate race here. So again, they're going to sort of be, you have Republican strength in the rural areas, Democratic strength in the core Atlanta metro area, Republican strength sort of in the next ring, the next layer of counties, talking about a place like Cherokee County, for instance.
I understand
so be very curious to see how that plays out.
I just think it would be funny.
With that Fulton County batch that came in, it's a tremendous statewide lead there for Raphael Warnock. But again, the question becomes, what's going to happen when the same day, what's going to happen when the rural start coming in? Again, you're moving more into, here's a good example. This was an overwhelmingly Republican county, and you're getting we're not quite sure, actually 5%. We can't tell you if that's just mail and same day or exactly what that is. We would have to check on that, but that should be a Republican county historically. So that's what's going on in Georgia. We'll check back in on Florida and see if we've got a little more. We do. Okay. What we've got here is Pinellas County. This is where St. Petersburg is. This is,
I hate Marco Rubio. I would not be upset if he lost.
This is the early vote. This is the bulk of the vote. And you've got in the Senate race,
Marco
Demings
Rubio is just annoying.
Portion.
I don't think he's going to lose. I'm just saying he's annoying.
Joe Biden finished in Pinellas County with 49.6% in 2020. Remember, Joe Biden lost the state by a few points. So if you're a Democrat in any given county in Florida, you want to be running 2 or 3 points above the Biden number from 2020. So Demings is starting out in Pinellas County about a point above that, with largely same-day vote to come in. So that's a challenge. Take a look at the governor's race right there.
Thank you, Bot.
This is Charlie Crist's home base. So you see Crist is at 50.6% here. He's starting out a point ahead of where Biden was, again, with the same day to come. We have a congressional district that's based in Pinellas County. Let's see if we've got... well, we don't. We only have the 12th district. I want to see if we've got, yeah, okay, this is one. This is interesting. So the 13th district was Charlie Crist's district in Congress. He left this seat to run for governor. This is one of the seats.
But you have to add Shane Hazelin. And can you redo that tweet, please? You didn't add him.
So it was a Democratic seat. It was Charlie Crist's seat. Basically, what happened was, heavily Democratic portions of Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, were removed from the district. It moved into the northern part of Pinellas County, more Republican-friendly part of the county, and it became a Trump +7 district. And Anna Paulina Luna, who has tied herself very closely to Donald Trump, emerged as the Republican nominee in this district. And so what you're seeing here, it's interesting. We've got close to 2/3 of the vote being reported in.
She's a spitfire.
This is again
Anna Paulina Luna
vote, and the Democrat.
I met her in Tampa 2 years ago.
Anna Paulina Luna. So we've now got about a little bit more than a third of the vote to come in. It's going to be same-day vote, and it's a question of, will that be enough to lift Anna Paulina Luna over Eric Lynn?
I think it will be. I think Anna Paulina is going to win. Good for her.
In the run-up to this, to today, that this district, drawn so aggressively to favor Republicans, that Luna might be testing how far voters were willing to go. And you see from this early number, it does look competitive there. So that's one we'll be keeping a close eye on. And there are several other districts in Florida as well that were drawn for the same purpose that 13 was drawn.
Steve, can I ask you a Georgia Senate race? If we could just go back to Georgia for a second. It's the third-party candidate.
Ooh, they got New Hampshire on the screen.
Candidate isn't expected to be in contention to actually win that seat.
Yes.
But in Georgia, the performance of that Libertarian candidate
Chase
is
Oliver.
important, because if that candidate, Chase Oliver, does well enough to deny either Warnock or Walker 50% of the vote, that is what will determine whether we have a runoff in that race, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if he's 1.3%, we'll see where that ends up landing. If it gets up, the higher that number gets for Oliver, and by higher, I mean, 2 to 3% potentially, then you're in that zone. I mean, this is what we saw in both Senate races in Georgia in 2020, where you had the candidate candidates basically finishing the Republican and Democratic candidates.
Also,
basically
they really
finishing
should be making his
49,
thing gold and not
48%,
gray.
and a Libertarian gobbling up about 3%. That's what sent both of them to runoffs in 2020. So
that was Shane Hazel, by the way.
Right now,
Shane Hazel was responsible for the runoff in Georgia
between Warnock and Walker, which is absolutely possible.
Because he ran for Senate.
It'd have to be really tight for that 1.4% to keep anybody from getting to 50%. We got somebody else coming in. That means a Democratic challenger
legit,
in the gubernatorial race.
That's legit.
Interestingly, we don't have numbers from Miami-Dade County.
There they are.
I'm not.
They popped up for a second.
I think you did. I think you did.
No, I flipped up to Broward to try to reset it to see if it came in. Let's try to reset it again and see if we get numbers. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we do have them in the senatorial race. I always thought
there'd be a red wave in Florida.
And again, I can show you on the screen right here. This was Miami-Dade. This is where it ended in 2020. Biden got 53%. This is what Miami-Dade looked like back in 2016. So that
if
national
CNN
conversation in the last 2 years following the 2020
picture.
election about the inroads that Donald Trump and Republicans made with Hispanic voters in 2020, one of the biggest places you saw it in 2020, you can see it on your screen right here, was Miami-Dade County. 70% Hispanic, Miami-Dade County. They cut it down to 7. Republicans had been talking optimistically in Florida about the possibility of outright carrying Miami-Dade. You're seeing that early number. I'm sure they're looking at that number, and they're thinking that's very much a possibility tonight. Let me just check one more time to see if we have gubernatorial numbers from there. I want to find out why we don't. But anyway, resetting just statewide, that's what it looks like in the gubernatorial race right now.
DOS
and statewide, that's what it looks like in the senatorial race right now, having this scattering of votes.
I'm going to jump in here to say one very important thing about those Florida results that we are looking at. If you are a Florida voter, keep in mind that while we are talking about all those results and all their exciting implications in Florida, the northwestern corner of Florida, the westernmost communities in Florida, are still voting. Polls are still open in the Florida Panhandle. And
Victor just brought me a new beer.
We are talking about results make you believe otherwise. The poll closing times are split in that state as they are in several other states. My husband is the best. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
All right. I want to show you Shane Hazel's picture. If MSNBC won't, I will, because Bot very generously tweeted to MSNBC that they were being lazy by not putting Shane Hazel's picture up, because Shane Hazel is very handsome and he deserves to have his picture on MSNBC. Shane Hazel ran for Senate in Georgia in 2020. Shane Hazel was one of the reasons that there was a runoff in Georgia in 2020, because he did exactly and precisely what Chase Oliver is going to do, and he got enough of the votes to force the runoff. So if you guys like Raphael Warnock, you can thank Shane Hazel for that, because he is the one that delivered you that in 2020. You're welcome. And I really do hope that Chase Oliver does it. I really do. Like, Chase Oliver and I do not see eye to eye on many things. He is part of the loser brigade in the Libertarian Party. I don't like him, but I have respect for what he's doing, and I want to see him do well tonight. I think it would be great. I think it'd be really good for the Libertarian Party, and that's what should matter at the end of the day. And so I really... Chase, unblock me on Twitter, man. Come on. Come on. Let's see. What else did they talk about? So it looks like that one county in Florida is being like a total blowout for Republicans, and that I think is good. I mean, Scott Pressler always said that there was going to be a red wave in Florida and in Arizona, and he's concerned about other places. I still think John Fetterman's going to win in Pennsylvania. That's purely instinct. I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that. That is purely my gut instinct that Fetterman is going to win. Maybe it's because I really want Fetterman to win, because it would be the most hilarious of all outcome. Again, my standards for politics are that I don't care, and that I just want the most hilarious possible outcome, because I don't think that these people should be taken seriously at all. I do not think they're serious people. I don't think they're intelligent people. I don't think they're nuanced people. I think that they are mostly insane fucking narcissists. And so if I have to deal with this situation and understand what's going on in politics, I want it to be as entertaining for me as it can possibly be. Some might say that's selfish. I say that's self-care. And so I think it would be fucking hilarious if John Fetterman became a senator. Are you? And by the way, if John Fetterman wins, this is something that the Republicans set themselves up for when Rick Grinnell went on a 3-day Twitter bender about how Kathy Barnett couldn't possibly win the Senate race. If the Republicans had been smart and had nominated Kathy Barnett, they would be in a much more advantageous position right now than they are. They needed to nominate Kathy Barnett. But no, Rick Grinnell and Greg Kelly and Sean Hannity went on a crusade. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a Rick fucking Grinnell went back 15 years in Kathy Barnett's Facebook posts, took them out of context, lied about her on Twitter for days to try to convince people that they just had to vote for Oz. They couldn't just leave it alone. And they were backed up by Greg Kelly and Sean Hannity. And Trump, for that matter. They should have voted for Kathy Barnett. Kathy Barnett was a great candidate. But no, they couldn't do it. So they're going to get what they get. And I will not be upset at all if Fetterman wins. Leonard, I like slightly burned food as well. I do. I get it. I'm with you. What do you guys think so far? Do you have any thoughts on the results that we're seeing so far? Steve Kornacki's at the big board. Steve Kornacki obsessively trying to figure out what's going on in Florida. Imagine having to be out on camera all night like that. God, that would suck. And I say that as someone who's on camera a lot. Let's see what the Twitter's saying. Oh, we're back. Hang on. Volume on.
Can now project that there is a winner in the Kentucky U.S. Senate race. Incumbent
Rand
Republican
Paul.
Rand Paul is the projected winner. He has been
that
reelected in Kentucky. His Democratic challenger, Charles Booker, would have been the first African-American senator
Too bad,
from Kentucky,
so sad.
But Rand Paul has held onto his seat. This is the look at the United States Senate at this hour. Democrats currently control 36 seats. Republicans control 32 seats.
Are you really worried? You cannot be worried about DeSantis. Come on.
Does overall control of the chamber. Now, NBC's Vaughn Hilliard is in Paradise Valley, Arizona. That's part of Maricopa County, Arizona. And Republicans have just filed a lawsuit there to try to keep the polls open later. Vaughn, what can you tell us?
Yeah, several of the Republicans expressed concern that there were voters who left lines, specifically earlier here today, when about 20% of the voting centers in Maricopa County had tabulating machine issues.
Maybe we'll do an extra late night stream later.
Vote by paper mail. This is an important distinction here.
Marjorie
so everybody votes by a paper ballot. The issue was that the tabulating machines at some of these locations were not accepting some of the ballots and rejecting them. Now, to note, those county officials say that those votes will still count. They will just not be tabulated until tomorrow when they are taken to the main tabulating center in downtown
They're not
Phoenix.
going to tabulate them until
tomorrow?
tomorrow?
Some situations in which there were lines extending from 30 minutes to an hour long as those county and elections workers were trying to figure out the situation.
Tomorrow?
Now, I want to be clear here because there are folks like Arizona Republican Secretary of State candidate Mark Fincham who were suggesting that there was nefarious action taking part here on behalf of county officials.
There is
Usually,
nefarious
the
action.
number of Republicans
Even though
here
I'm sure the election is perfect,
outnumbers the number of Democrats that vote in person. That is why Republicans are especially concerned here.
Certainly
but
seems
even Carrie
nefarious
Lake,
to
I
me.
specifically asked her, I said, yes, it is never excusable to have long lines. It's never ideal. At the same time, there should be no suggestion that this will not be an accurate election here in the state of Arizona at this time. Carrie Lake agreed with me on that point here. So as we look to see how this lawsuit develops to try to keep these polling locations open and ultimately the tabulation of these ballots, and it's important to remember that Carrie Lake herself acknowledged earlier today that this does not mean that it will be an inaccurate count. Again, there is a record of paper ballots before they go into the tabulating machines, Rachel.
And Vaughn, just to be clear, was the issue with the tabulating machines sorted out? Were they able to resolve the issue? And they're just concerned that people who may have left when the problems were still happening need extra time to come back?
That is the primary concern. We don't have widespread report of people leaving en masse. To be very clear, this is a small subset. There are across the county about 223 voting centers. Folks can go to any one. It's not like you have to go to your neighborhood voting center. So at these locations, they were urging folks to go drive 2 miles down the road to visit one that did not have a line.
To be
but
concerned.
the polling locations were set to close here in about 90 minutes. In the county,
I don't live in Arizona. I don't really care.
They have fixed the problem.
That's
this
actually
is very
the truth.
minutia, but ultimately it was a printer problem. Some of these machines were not printing dark enough ink.
Google shows
so
I have
therefore
59
the tabulating
votes.
machines were not
Yay.
able to read them. They have since fixed the printers, and that is why you have seen around the county these lines go down and this return to normal. But that has not kept Republicans from trying to keep them open at least a little bit longer here.
Vaughn Hilliard for us in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Again, a Republican lawsuit there to keep the polls open longer in Maricopa County. I want to go back to Steve Kornacki here just for a moment. Steve, I understand you've got some more Florida data.
Yeah, we were talking about Miami-Dade County. We saw Marco Rubio leading it in the Senate race, and you can see now the governor's race. This is the statewide
Thank you to the
number.
59
DeSantis,
people in New
7
Hampshire who have
points up
voted
on
for
Chris,
me.
And we do have Miami-Dade for the governor's race. And look
it should
at
have been
that.
69.
And again, the mail/early vote portion, which is usually the most Democratic friendly. Ron DeSantis with an 8-point advantage over Charlie Crist in Miami-Dade County. Again, this is a county that was 30 points Democratic just in 2016. The other implication for this comes at the House
Steve
level.
Kornacki
Talking about battle
is
for control of the House. There is
out.
a congressional seat in Miami-Dade that Democrats have been targeting. Maria Salazar, a freshman Democrat who was elected in a bit of a surprise in 2020. They've been targeting her, Democrats have. But again, with this strong Republican performance you're seeing in the votes in Miami-Dade so far, Salazar out to a double-digit advantage against her Democratic challenger. And also just to update you as well, Anna Paulina Luna,
oh, look at her.
Trump
She's
loyalist,
going to
running in the
win.
13th
Good for
district that Charlie
her.
Crist used to represent, has now pulled ahead. This, again, as the same-day vote is counted in Florida. So that would be, if Luna is able to win there, that would end up being a Republican gain in the House.
Good
Remember,
for her.
they only need a net gain of 5 seats to take the House. But the idea of Florida, that
Scott, what a great!
Oh,
I'm at 91 votes now. Oh my God! I wonder if I'm going to get like 1,000 votes. That'd be pretty great.
Everything but the Panhandle being tabulated right now in Florida.
Where's
and there is
Jeremy?
a pattern
How is
emerging where both
Jeremy
Rubio and
How is the
DeSantis
Senate race?
are running better than Trump was in 2020 at this point.
Interesting. We're looking at Miami-Dade looking very much like the rest of Florida, and Florida starting to look like a red state.
Right. I mean, Florida is a red state. I mean, I think I've said this before. I mean, the challenge is Miami-Dade has been trending Republican for a really long time. It's been slowly slipping toward the Republican Party, and it is a 70+% Hispanic county. But of the people who are Hispanic in that county, the vast majority are Cuban American.
Can someone send me the link to where you guys are looking at on Google?
That, you know, that county remained Democratic in the 2008 and 2012 elections because of one thing, Barack Obama. Barack Obama actually managed to eat into the margins. Hillary Clinton, but I mean, it's been moving
Jeremy,
in that direction.
awesome.
And, you know, and with
That's
Obama
really good.
not on the ballot,
Yay!
you know, I've been talking to people who've been looking at African American turnout. Those precincts are barren. Like turnout among African Americans is dismal in Florida. It is incredibly hard to turn people out. Having done an election down there without Obama on the ballot, it's just that the turnout is anemic. Whereas, you know, the conservative, you know, Cuban American population in Miami-Dade, they know what they want. And I think the other thing is the mask mandate thing. I'll just say one more quick thing. One of the things that is pulling DeSantis ahead, particularly in places like Miami-Dade, was the lack of mask mandates. That was a huge issue for people who run businesses in Dade County. It's a very tourism-facing county. And a lot of people
They've got a good picture of me. Can someone link to me where you're looking at this?
In the state during the pandemic.
DeSantis is boring Trump. He's boring Trump. And if you actually watch him talk or you watch 20, 30 minutes, it is a drier, more elite, more Ivy League version of Donald Trump. And so what he's done is become like the chief content officer of Florida and pick these fights with Disney and being anti-First Amendment, jurisprudentially, he's very
Jeremy has
anti-free
2%.
speech.
Oh,
why
that's
he's
really good.
attacking corporations who say they want to have an inclusive environment for all types of workers. And he says, you will be punished for that position, for that speech. And so in all these ways, because he is more boring, I mean, C-SPAN is his enemy if you actually watch a full speech, but he's found these cultural war issues.
Oh, I see it. I got the Google link
without
now.
any of that flavor and made himself a national figure through
fucking
fights.
Kelly Halderson is going to get more votes than me. God damn it.
The first data point.
I'll just tell you, we got a poll closing in 40 seconds.
Okay.
Go fast.
The first data point that suggests what I think might be a theme tonight, and I'm going to talk to the Republicans who are watching this. You don't need Donald Trump. You just don't need him. He is actually a weight on
Jeremy's at 2%.
We will watch candidates outperform Donald Trump tonight. Over and over again. We will watch exit polling that he has a 37% favorable reading. It is crazy if they're about to go ahead to renominating this man.
That is going to be one of the most
elections come back
on the Republican side out of this. At 7:30, we've got poll closings in North Carolina and in Ohio and in West Virginia. Again, the NBC News Decision Desk will give us projections as best as they can. Some of these may be too early. Some of these may be too close. They will not project a winner in a race until they are more than 99% certain that will be the outcome of that race. You can have confidence in these projections. At 7:30 on the East Coast in the North Carolina Senate race, this is an open Senate
Maggie is spanking Dawn so far.
Republican Congressman Ted Budd versus Democrat Sherry Beasley. This race is too early to call, the North Carolina Senate race. In the Ohio Senate race, the very closely watched open Ohio Senate race previously, again, held by a Republican. It is now open.
I hope
Republican
JD Vance wins this one.
against Democrat Tim Ryan. The Ohio Senate race is too early to call. There is a governor's race where we've had a poll closing as well in Ohio. The Ohio governor, Republican incumbent Mike DeWine, is the projected winner. Mike DeWine is reelected as the Ohio governor. And those are the three races that we're able to make projections for with the poll closings at 7:30. Again, just to remind you,
I'm
heading
so
toward
pissed that
poll
Kelly
closing now at 8
Halderson got
o'clock
listed
in
at the
half
top
an
of the
hour.
ballot.
We're going to be looking at Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, and the rest of Florida, the Florida Panhandle that has not yet closed. So in the next 29 minutes or so, we're going to have an avalanche of poll closings and new data, in addition to further information coming in on the 7 o'clock and now 7:30 closings that we've just seen.
Can I make one quick point just to follow up on that?
Yeah.
Mike DeWine is a great example, all right? Mike DeWine and JD Vance are running in Ohio, and it's a great example of, well, what a difference a candidate makes. Now, Mike DeWine's an incumbent, and JD Vance isn't. That makes a big difference. But Mike DeWine is essentially a kind of old school Republican in many ways. Doesn't mean he's not hasn't been cutthroat on certain things. His son is a justice on the Supreme Court for the state, which rules on matters in front of him all the time, which seems kind of bizarre.
It's only
and corrupt.
because
But
Kelly is at the top of the ballot.
A sort of
That's the only
Republican.
reason.
In fact, he served as Ohio senator.
Because
He's
they
gonna
didn't
run tonight.
randomize the placement on the ballot like they were supposed to.
JD Vance.
But it's kind of a moot
Republicans
point
would
at this point,
nominate
I
more Mike
suppose.
DeWines. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of races.
Jeremy's
in
race
which
is
there's
the
a
only one I
little
really care about.
comparison statewide between two candidates. One who's a DeWine type and one is a JD Vance. And I guarantee you the DeWine type of Republican is going to outperform tonight the JD Vance style Republican in almost every state.
And can I say that in that race, specifically, Tim Ryan is running his campaign to get Mike DeWine voters to vote for him.
Yes.
So he's running specifically for ticket splitters, to the point where the thing that might actually jeopardize Tim Ryan's campaign, which people have been praising as one of the better run campaigns, is he's so determined to get Republicans to vote for him that he ran 2 ads after he got nominated as the Democratic nominee. One of them said, "I voted against Obama, ... on this trade thing." But for Black voters in Hamilton County and Cuyahoga County, all they heard was, "I voted against Obama."
Right.
And he ran a second ad that said, "Trump was right, ... on China."
Right.
Black voters just heard Trump was right. And a lot of voters who are, white, more moderate liberal voters heard Trump was right. So he's running this risky thing because, remember, Sherrod Brown exists.
Yes, I was just going to say, this is the Sherrod Brown question you're talking
and
about.
So people keep thinking that Ohio is this unwinnable state. I think Florida is an unwinnable state for Democrats statewide.
Not yet, Dieter. I promise I have it on the list. It's been a busy week.
He's never done those two things.
Thank you
He's
for the
never
super
said
chat.
anything Trumpy or sort of sucked up to MAGA to win. He wins as Sherrod Brown.
I mean, that would be something,
guy,
wouldn't
right?
it?
So it's an interesting choice that Tim Ryan made to try to do those two things, which he otherwise very well run.
Jeremy's up over 600
that has been
votes.
run without the
It's really
Democratic
good.
Party's help at all. They have not helped him. He's done this by himself. So it's
Maggie
going to be an
is
interesting
spanking
test of what
Dawn
you're
with this
saying.
first round of
JD Vance is
returns.
not like a likable character that people want to vote for. If they're voting out of Republican loyalty. What he's counting on, JD Vance, is that Republicans just come home and those DeWine voters aren't.
I have been
tempted by
running
Tim
for
Ryan.
governor, Dieter.
Who's that?
JD Vance.
JD Vance. He's consistent on what?
I will say the other factor that you just alluded to it in terms of Tim Ryan sort of having to do it on his own. You look at the financial resources that were put into those campaigns. Yep. I mean, not only did Tim Ryan really have to do it on his own because the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee sort of thought that Ohio's too red, he's not going to be able to do it. But JD Vance was able to tap the bank of Peter Thiel.
Yes.
And so just like Blake Masters in Arizona, JD Vance is his other candidate, which is a bottomless pit of weird libertarian money with seasteading and women shouldn't be allowed to vote and all the rest of it. It should have a lot of baggage attached. Yeah. But they
don't actually think that
bottomless checks that he was able to tap from that weird billionaire class it's you can't say that that's
and
not
it's hurt JD Vance.
potentially determinative.
Being associated with him, I mean, he's seen as this sort of fly-in candidate from Silicon Valley.
Ryan
he's
has
not
done a very good job on it.
Ryan has made himself, he's so Ohio, and he's kind of Dr. Oz, JD Vance. Yeah. So that's an interesting race.
Trump picked him and then tried to kill him. I mean, Trump went there and said, this guy is such a suck-up. And one of Liz Cheney's, I don't know if it was rolled out the way some of her other endorsements were, but she made no secret about JD Vance being undemocratic and being part of the Putin wing of the Republican Party. And I think Mitch McConnell was loath to spend national dollars there because he had all that access to billionaire money.
In just a minute, we're going to check back in with our friend Steve Kornacki, who's going to be taking our first look of the night at house races, important house races tonight in Virginia in particular, as we look at lines to vote in McAllen, Texas, growing even longer, even after dark. Also, we've been looking at some long lines in Henderson, Nevada. Lots of people still turning out to vote. If the polls are still open where you are and you are in a big line, best thing you can do for your country is stay in line no matter what. It doesn't matter who you're there to vote for or which party you are. If you're there to vote, stay and vote. We'll be right back.
New Ivisia
I am
dry eye
flaming
drops.
Therese Grinnell on the Facebook group right now. You guys don't know what this is, but this bitch, there's this crazy conservative in New Hampshire who is on my fucking last nerve. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Therese Grinnell is going to like this post that I'm about to leave in her Facebook group. I know you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but the internet's about to know. Oh, it's pending. Oh, good. Good. So we're going to put it on Twitter. Phil says, next election cycle, could you host a panel of experts and could I be on said panel with you? Yes. Phil, you can absolutely be on the panel next time. You absolutely can. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, Phil. All right, guys, I'm going to do this for about 20 more minutes and we can enjoy some MSNBC reaction time. And then I'm going to go take a break because as a reminder, I'm going live at 9:30 with Joshua for Nothing Remotely Controversial. So I'm going to go get some dinner and we can come back and have psychic fun time and we can predict the election and see what happens. Don Bulldog really needs to lose now, because I'm not taking any of Therese Grinnell's shit. I can tell you that. Therese, hang on. I've got a little personal message for Therese. Therese, you want to promote someone that's doxed my house and has been stalking me for 2 years and call yourself a Christian? You epic fucking cunt. I will do whatever I can to destroy you. It does not end here, Therese. It does not end after tonight. Anything that I can do to destroy you, I will absolutely do. Watch over your fucking shoulder, Therese. Make sure you question everything, because I will be playing every fucking psychological game I can with you for the foreseeable future. You are on my permanent shit list, bitch. You promote someone who has been stalking me for 2 years and has doxed my house, putting me and my family in danger, and you dare fucking call yourself a Christian? Watch what's going to happen, Therese. Watch your fucking back. I won't do anything violent because I don't believe in violence. But I will fuck with your life in whatever way I can. I will fuck with whatever you're trying to accomplish. I will go out of my way to destroy you, bitch. And you better fucking believe it. All right. Therese Grinnell. If you guys want to harass and stalk and destroy Therese Grinnell, I don't give a shit. You have my blessing. In fact, why don't I put Therese Grinnell's Twitter in the chat right now? Anything you want to do to destroy this bitch, I have absolutely no problem with it. She is psychotic. She's QAnon. She deserves everything she gets. All right, let's watch news again. We're now having happy news time again.
Who's a January 6th objector against Sherry Beasley, the Democratic former state Supreme Court Chief Justice. Again, too early to call. Big chunk of the vote in here, though, in North Carolina, 33% in. Let's go to Steve with that. Steve, let's talk a little bit about North Carolina Senate. I understand you've also got some House races to talk to us about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a bit of what we were setting up at the start of the night in terms of there are going to be states where Democrats jump out to some pretty significant early leads. That's what we've seen in Georgia, and we see it in North Carolina as well. A lot of this has to do, again, with that very specific
Maggie
vote
Hassan's
return
leading
pattern.
Don Bulldog by 10,000 votes.
Another state where it's all reported out centrally through the states, but what the counties do is they tend to send to the state right away the early vote, the mail vote, and then it takes a while. There's usually a lag there of about an hour or so, and then the same day vote starts getting added in. So you're seeing some big chunks of vote come in from some big counties. Here's Mecklenburg, where Charlotte is. It's a big Democratic county. You see Sherry Beasley, no surprise she's ahead. She's running at 69% and change right now. Biden finished at 66.7 here. Now remember, Joe Biden almost won North Carolina. He lost the state by 75,000 votes, shaved 100,000 votes off of Hillary Clinton's deficit in 2016. So if you're Sherry Beasley, the name of the game in a place like Mecklenburg is basically to be, I'd say, a point above that Biden number, you know, get to 67.5, 68. You see with what's come in so far, she's at 69. The question is with what's left to come, which again will include a lot of same day vote, does that come down? Does that come down under that number? Yeah, you can see it in a place like go to Western North Carolina, Asheville area, another core Democratic area. You know, Biden getting about 60% here, Beasley jumping up to 67% with that mail, with that early. How far does that come down? That's sort of the name of the game here. Go to Wake County, Raleigh. Okay, Biden finished at 62%. Beasley starting at 68 here. As that same day comes in and gets added to the mix, you want to see how far that comes down. Again, she wants to finish ahead of Biden in all these counties. That would put her on track to win statewide potentially. So again, statewide in North Carolina, just taking an update, a little bit more than a third in, heavily early, heavily mail. That's the situation there for Beasley. Let's take a look at the battle for the House, though. Take us back down to Florida here, and we could just check in quickly on the Senate race and the governor's race, and you see double-digit advantages for both Republicans there. But we said Florida is a place that the map was drawn by Ron DeSantis and Republicans to try to get Republicans a big step towards that net gain of 5 House seats they need to get control. So you're looking at here a list of congressional districts. These are the congressional districts that are held by Democrats right now, but that were carried by Donald Trump in 2020. And you'll note that 3 of them are in Florida. And all 3 of these districts were redrawn by this remap in Florida that Ron DeSantis pushed through for the purpose of flipping Democratic seats and getting Republicans toward a majority. So let's check in on those 3 districts. The 4th district, the Republicans with more than 70% in, nearly a 20-point lead for their candidate. The 7th district, this was Stephanie Murphy used to represent this, 2/3 of the vote in, the Republicans with a double-digit lead. We told you about Anna Paulina Luna in St. Petersburg area. Now she has opened up as the same-day vote comes in, a 7-point advantage. All 3 of these, if they hold, would be flips. They would be Republican gains in the House. There is also a new district that Florida got because of the census. They got a new seat. And again, the new district was drawn with the idea of getting a Republican elected to that new seat. And again,
but you can spam her account with whatever you want. I don't care. Dick pics are appropriate.
DeSantis map
Please.
in Florida right now looks
Just
like
don't
it is
tag
doing
me
for
in them.
Republicans what they hoped it would. Now, the other place where there's some action in the House right now, let's move up to Virginia. I'll pull this off the screen. There's 3 districts in Virginia we're keeping a particular eye on tonight. One is the 2nd district of Virginia. Now, this is the Virginia Beach area here. The incumbent's Elaine Luria. She was elected in that 2018 Democratic wave. This is very competitive political territory. Joe Biden carried this by 2 points in 2020. Glenn Youngkin won this by 11 points when he was elected governor last year of Virginia. You see Jen Kiggins, the Republican challenger to Elaine Luria, about 22% of the vote in right now, is leading. Now, this is a state and this is a district where the first reported vote may be more Republican friendly than the final result, where you're going to get more of the same day vote in the early mix than you're going to get the early vote. And so you see Kiggins jumping out to a lead here. We'll see. The name of the game here is, as that early vote is added to the mix, can Luria get closer? Can she hold on here? But this is one Republicans at sort of a threshold level tonight, a district that Joe Biden won by 2 points. They want to be winning districts that Joe Biden won by 2 points. The next level here, test sort of for Republicans, this is the 7th district. Abigail Spanberger, a Democrat, again, elected in that 2018 wave. Yesli Vega, Republican challenger. Now, again, you're getting a lot of same-day vote here, so that is pushing that Republican number very high. This is a district, I'll just show you. It's a district that Joe Biden won.
I don't have anything to say about Virginia.
So Republicans, it's a little bit more of a hurdle for Republicans to get this one. You know, they feel like on a normal night they could get the 2nd.
It looks
they
like
feel
6% of the vote is in New Hampshire right now.
That they might have a bit of a wave going on nationally. But again, I caution you that number should come down, both with early vote being added to the mix, and also if you just look at where the vote is coming in from so far, the biggest the place that has no votes yet is the most Democratic component of the county. That's Prince William County. We don't have any votes from there yet. So again, Spanberger has opportunities to make up what looks like a big gap there on paper, but that's a key race, that 7th district there in Virginia. If
I don't have any plans for world domination. I just want to leave everyone alone and let them do what they want.
You know, a significant night. If Democrats defend the 2nd and the 7th, that starts to put them on track for a good night as well. And then the other test here is the 10th district. And again, this is an area of Northern Virginia that's been trending more and more Democratic. Joe Biden actually won this district by 18 points in 2020. Again, you know, he's about 20% here. Democratic areas, early votes, not a big part of this mix right now. So you want to see how these numbers evolve, how these numbers change.
Phil, can you please start a new thread or comment on Teresa's tweets directly? Because I don't want to see this in my feed.
Plus 18 district. If we start getting a lot of vote in here, and the Republican hung cow is either leading or within, say, 5 points, that's pointing to a really big night.
Oh, that's who that guy is. I've been getting spammed incessantly by that guy, hung cow.
So those are the 3 kind of
spamming my email like every goddamn day.
Virginia, and I'm just being told we're getting our first reports out of Ohio. Might as well check in and just see what that looks like. That Senate race between J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan. Okay, yeah. So the big source of votes here right now that we're getting in Ohio would be Columbus, Franklin County, huge core Democratic county. You see Tim Ryan with about 3/4 of the vote.
I appreciate your guys' efforts. I just don't want to see it.
Again, in Ohio, this is what we talked about in Florida. We talked about it in Georgia.
Oh, God,
God
damn it.
The earliest returns, these big batches of votes, are going to tend to be
early
mail votes here. So again, it's going to be, expect to see Ryan lead in these initial counts. And the question becomes, the same day vote, does it give Vance enough to get the lead?
Chris?
Can I ask you one question, Steve, just to go back to Florida in that St. Petersburg district?
Yes.
Again, I think we're going to end up, one of the objections of both Republicans
Maggie
in the state
Hassan is
legislature and
13,000
Democrats was
votes
that the
up
new
on Don
map
Boldock.
had
8%
reduced the
reporting.
number of minority districts, black districts. That there was a lawsuit under the state Supreme Court. They refused to intervene, and the Supreme Court of the United States refused to intervene. So we have it in as it is. In that district, can you just show us what that district was in 2020, Biden-Trump, the new 13th? Just to give us a benchmark.
Well, yeah, the new 13th would have been Trump by 7 points.
Okay.
The old would have been Biden by 4.
Right. So the new one, though, the new one is that basically running with 88% in that
Not too
benchmark
bad,
is
Jacob.
hitting
How are
around
you?
Trump's performance 2020 thereabouts with 12% of the vote left.
And what we've seen is what we've talked about as this percentage has ticked up.
That will go up.
It's been same day vote.
Yeah.
Remember, we were at 63 and Luna was at about 46 and change. Now she's getting close to 53 at 88. So that's the difference between the early mail and the same day vote.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are steaming toward 8 o'clock East Coast time, which is very important in terms of poll closings. You have memorized
New
by now this gigantic list of poll closings at the top of
All right, guys. I think I'm going to call it for right now. Mostly because I really have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I know I ended 10 minutes early. But guys, we have been doing just election night pontifications. I hope you're all having a great election night. Now, I will be back. This is not the last you're going to hear of me tonight, okay? I need to take a quick hour-and-a-half break. I'm going to go eat some dinner. And then we are going to come back at 9:30. 9:30 tonight for nothing remotely controversial. 9:30 tonight. And we are going to be psychicking all of the outstanding election results. And we're going to see what's going on. And you can come and ask your questions about what's going on with the election and who's going to win. And we're really going to hold Joshua to these predictions. These should be super accurate predictions. I want to hold Joshua's feet to the fire. We're going to see how good of a psychic he really is. We're going to test it out tonight at 9:30. We're going to be back then. But guys, please mount the like button on the way out the door. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you in about an hour and a half. Take care, and we'll see you soon.